if someone has a weapon, you want to grab the thumb, the tip of the thumb, and you want to push it to the second digit. If you press this here, it opens the hand biomechanically and gives you the weapon.
How in the fuck am I ever gonna do that?
You want to press here. So there's actually nothing
What?
touching the sharp sides of the edges of the blade. Take the pads of your fingers here. You're actually gripping it and pulling down. There's no muscle groups on top of the thumb to stop that action.
Oh my
and
God.
There's actually a gap here. So you're actually not getting cut. Even if you did get cut in the hand, it's okay because it's not a vital area. And you can pull the wrist and press the hand. This opens the hand and gives you the blade. 3 ways to increase your survivability.
How? What in what universe? Someone's coming at me with a knife. Am I going to be able to get in there and like do a thumb war with them? Like I'm going to the most dangerous part of my attacker. Good God. I mean, I guess if they're like, I don't know, holding it out like it's Fall Guys or something, I don't know, like they're just like holding it straight out like this, maybe I could get in there and push out the thumb, perhaps. If they're like a child. But if they're a kid, I'll just like throw sand in their face and like push them over. This one was a pretty wild one. And also trying to grab the blade seems like a recipe for disaster. At that point, you really could just go full anime, slam your hand on the blade so they can no longer use it. So you just fucking blast your hand onto the blade and then grab their wrist that way. I mean, I guess that's about as effective as the things he's preaching. Child abduction prevention. Step 1, don't have a kid. I solved it, and I'm not even a Viper. A threat management Viper. Is she wearing a bulletproof vest?
Back up.
All right, so the way that worked.
I could tell immediately how that worked.
The child's arm,
And I noticed
the mother
instantly.
pushed here on the thumb, causing the thumb to let go. This would help if someone tries to grab your child against your will. You're able to break the hold so you can get your child free from an aggressor that tries to abduct your child.
I can think of like 10 other ways. Like, let's say this happened, right? Let's say I'm walking with my kid, and dude comes up and for some reason grabs my kid's hand and then just sits there and looks me in the eye, right? So he's doing this power move. He's not really abducting my kid. He's just letting me know he could if he wanted to. Instead of breaking his grip, I could also just punch him in the face. Like, he's doing nothing to defend himself. Like, I don't need to, like, go, like, fiddle with his thumbs or whatever. I could just give him one of those. Even, like, a wet willy or something. Like, there's a million other options. Maybe titty twister. Like, I feel like going for his hand right away, you're just giving yourself too many steps. Pistol biomechanics.
This man holds the weapon, he's holding it hard. If I push my finger against his barrel, I can still control that weapon against his will. The weapon comes
Why would
right
I do that?
If
I'm
I
not
put
like
my hand
Neo
here,
from the
it literally
Matrix.
come right out of the hand. That's because the hand is not made to hold anything very well. If I put my hands right here, he can overpower me, and then I can be shot.
Hey, I'm no biomechanical engineer here or whatever, but I think the hands are quite literally designed to hold things. That's why we evolved to have these fucking meaty paws. I don't want to poke holes in the threat management claims here, but that seems a little sketchy.
To give you an example, here's a woman's gonna hold the front here.
It's literally the only reason we have thumbs.
Strip it, even though he's strong. And in fact, she pushes away, and even though he's pushing hard, she can redirect it. That is because it's biomechanics, it's not strength. So what we do is make sure that you have tactical advantages when you have to defend your life if you decide to do so.
Now, I will say, in his defense, this technique is extremely effective if they're missing their thumbs, and also maybe like noodle gripping it, like very lightly, like, ooh, I'm kind of afraid of this gun. Like, it might work there, but if someone's like actually just holding it normally, like even if they're like half passed out, I imagine this probably wouldn't work.
Detroit Urban Survival Training, I want to share with you right now why we say the hand is not meant to hold anything very well. This man is much stronger than me, much bigger than me.
Okay, he's saying with confidence, he's probably right.
You're holding on, right? Yeah. You're not gonna let go. You're gonna let go unless he has to, correct? Right. Yep. We're gonna come here, grab our fist, comes right out. The hand is not meant to hold things very well.
Yeah, again, this is one of those situations where, like, let's say my man comes up to me on the street and he's just trying to shake my hand, but he's a little aggressive and I get scared. So we're in this position. Instead of reaching over and grabbing my own fist, I'll just hit him in the nuts. Like, I'm already in a good spot for like a little nut tap and be like, hey, let me go. Give him one of these.
You're gonna make 3 consecutive right hand turns.
When do I start drifting?
Then you're gonna make 3 consecutive left hand turns.
Then you're gonna want to find a parked tow truck and ramp off the back. Like GTA.
If the car is still behind you, and you look back there, they're still there,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna go to the nearest police station and call 911 on the way.
The first actual good advice. I didn't expect that. I thought he was gonna say if they're still following you, you get out and start blasting. So you like akimbos some Mac 10s. But I mean, that's just like real advice. Like if you're being followed by a sketchy vehicle, yeah, just drive to the police station.
This is how the gun disarm works. Number 1, move what's in front of the barrel always. So if it's more to the front, I move to the rear. Grabbing the barrel, frame, up, back towards the person. If it's this side, I move my head to the front, then you would actually come under, redirecting, now you have the...
I really want to try that. Not against like not against like someone who's really trying to take my car. But I want to give Matt like an unloaded gun, no magazine in, so there's not going to be like one of those stories where YouTuber gets shot doing a prank kind of thing. I just want to see if someone is actually holding a gun, is it fucking possible to take the barrel and redirect it? That strikes me as so unrealistic unless that person is a literal mannequin. Because what's going to happen is they're going to move with the gun, right? Like that's how that works. That's why these things are so worthless. No one's just going to stand there and like fucking flexing as hard as they can so they don't move. Like when you try and bend that barrel up, they're going to be moving too. But I haven't tried it myself. I want to see what happens. Just use a Nerf gun. No. I'm gonna use a real gun. I will go for true authenticity. I'm making sure this is gonna be like the set of Rust with Alec Baldwin, where there's gonna be like real bullets anywhere in the vicinity. It's gonna be you know, the safest area possible. No bullets, no magazine. Do it like a playground. Well, playground would be the worst place to do it, actually. Like in a safe location.
If your neck is grabbed from the rear, clasp your hands, turn, and the wrists are hyperextended, and there's a lock on the wrist, which causes the pain to cause the man to let your neck go. Very painful.
Well, I can't argue with the science, I guess. How about a rifle disarm? We've seen like 5 pistol disarms. How about a rifle? Being hunted by the... Wow. I guess this is useful if Navy SEALs bust in. Or if you're John Wick. Do you know what to do if somebody wants to fight? Yeah, I run away and I scream, help, there's a bad man, help, help, please God, help. Do you know what to do if you're being choked against the wall? Moan.
Well, what can work is you take your hand just like this, go right into the eyes, push it outward. Then you transition out, smashing the skull into the wall or the ground. From here,
He just watches action movies.
or striking the throat. Neither of these things will kill them, but it will stop them from continuing to attack you.
These techniques are just developed from an action movie. I mean, I feel like as far as getting choked advice goes, this is about, like, the best you can do. Just like, hey, poke him in the eye. The water boy technique, like, hey, don't choke me. Just give him one of those, and then I guess you can, like, follow through, just, like, keep poking him in the eye. Unless he has a longer reach. Yeah, if he has a longer reach, then you're probably fucked, I guess. I don't know, these techniques are only developed for 6'5" men. Anything other than that, and you might as well just give up.
Pushing the eyes and the face back, gripping downward. This locks the spinal cord, causing the brain to be broken, which takes them down to the ground. Securing the weapon here, increase your survivability.
Imagine you're taking hostages at like your local Burger King and you unfortunately had Dale there that was chowing down on an Impossible Burger. You come up to him only for him to hit you with one of these anime maneuvers. Cops bust in and kill you. What a way to go out. Fucking imagine.
Locks the spinal cord.
Could you use your cell phone as a self-defense tool?
Detroit Urban Survival Training. We're going to share with you right now.
Excuse, let me see that one more time at full speed. What did he do? Like blast him with 5G waves? We couldn't catch it on camera, but what he actually did is he turned on Bluetooth, and then he touched it to his wrist, opening up a portal for the 5G to infiltrate his veins.
Go right to the bones of the hand right here. Press in to your hand. It's extremely painful. If they try to walk close to you, take your phone, press right in the chest plate right here.
Oh god, it's one of these again.
Back away from you. Nothing you can use it for is you go right here to the bridge of the nose, and it'll back them up. If they bear hug,
Yeah?
take your phone right to the top of the skull, press down, they'll back away from you and let you go. These are some simple ways you can use your cell phone to defend yourself if someone were to grab you.
Why are you so... I'll play ball for a second, but why are you so against just hitting somebody? It's always like, push on it a little bit. Pushing on something is like the least painful version of anything. Like, take for example, if I was to push my fist into your nose. That's gonna hurt significantly less than if I was to thrust my fist into your nose. If we're gonna play with these ridiculous rules, why not just hit him multiple times with your phone? It would be magnificently more effective. Like, tremendously more beneficial. Today I wanted to tell a story.
I was in a major rage and pissed off at my whole life and everybody that's hurt me and blew up, and I hurt the wrong people. I hate myself. I really do. There is no taking back what I did, and if I could, yes, I would. Are you kidding me? But I was out of control. If I was able to stop myself in the middle of it,
This call is being recorded.
I would have, and I could not. I was out of control. It wasn't about their age with me. I actually didn't go out and look for them. I did not sit and wait for them. I go to calm myself. I go out and I go for walks to calm myself. I'll go for a walk or I'll go for a drive just to calm down. I was telling them that I just want to plead guilty and I want everyone to know how bad that I felt.
You could have gotten the death penalty.
I didn't care. I still don't. Everything that I've done was horrible. What am I supposed to say? Did I try to prevent it? Yeah, I did.
Why did you admit to killing them?
Because I did. Why would I drag it out? Why would I put those families through going to court and looking at all that evidence and having them sit there and have the DAs and then my lawyers and everybody throw it up in their face? And I tried to get help beforehand. There's so many things that caused me to go into a spiraling downhill that I went in. I was not in control. I called all these mental health places saying, I'm losing control, I need help. They told me, oh, too bad. As soon as they found out I was a sex offender. Now, if I'm denied help, am I fully to blame? Well, for my actions, hell yeah. I understand. But could it have been prevented? Yeah, it could have.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Are there other victims?
I can try.
John Gardner was sentenced to 2 terms of life in prison without the possibility of parole for the rape and murder of both Chelsea and Amber. He also got another 25 years to life for his attack on the woman in December 2009.
This time it is the judgment and sentence of the court that for the crime of murder in the first degree, Chelsea King, under special circumstances, life without the possibility of parole. For the crime of murder in the first degree of Amber Dubois, under special circumstances, life in prison without the possibility of parole. For the crime in count 2, assault with intent to commit a rape with 2 strikes, the term is life in prison, mandatory minimum of 25 years.
Look at me. Why am I not surprised?
Now, with our last hope for justice, we depend on the prison community to slowly and painfully cause your remaining days on this earth to be a living nightmare.
At his sentencing, things got heated, especially when the survivor of the December attack spoke. You can see his expression flip in like 1 second.
To make us a little safer by locking him up permanently, and to finally free us from this nightmare that he has created. And finally, to ask him how his nose is.
She did that for publicity.
If I got the death penalty, I would be sitting in a single cell for 25 to 30 years before they ever decide to give me the death penalty. Now, with the sentence that I have, I'm going to be dead within the next 5 years.
Why?
You guys don't know how prison works, do you?
Since all this happened, the parents of both girls have been a huge presence in search and rescue operations around the area and beyond. John rotten in prison, which is great stuff. And the hunt for a monster was finally over. A hunt which shouldn't have even began when you look at the countless red flags from the original attack, his very short sentencing when he only did 5 years for that, and that, you know, the psychiatrists, the parole violations which were never followed up on. One time he even went to a prison, which is believed he was giving contraband to somebody in prison, and that's an immediate red flag if you're on parole. Like, felony, you get a lot of years for that. Nobody was following him, nobody was keeping up with what he was doing until Yeah. And then you come out and say, yeah, I tried to get help, but I didn't. I'm the real victim here.
Now, if I'm denied help, am I fully to blame? Well, for my actions, hell yeah. I understand. But could it have been prevented? Yeah, it could have.
Go fuck yourself, though. His name really says it all. What a turd. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with this guy. Here, by the way, please, if you're interested, maybe you are, check out my Patreon where you can get exclusive videos, early access to videos, Discord, a few bits and bobs, and you can also check out some That Chapter t-shirts down there somewhere, I think. Here, go on, please, as always, take care of yourselves, because I love you. Like you.
Today I wanted to tell a story. An island? This is a real story? Tier 1 Jeff and Prime Darth Resin, the recent Tartarus and consume bees.
Imagine yourself in paradise. Picture the beautiful beaches, the
Ew.
crystal clear waters.
Fucking outside.
Breeze on
It's
your
so
face.
dumb.
You open up your phone. You upvote the first chonker meme you see. Life is perfect. All of this could be
Is there some
possible.
rose?
With your help, we can create a paradise. No TikTokers, no Instagrammers, and monuments to both Keanu Reeves and Elon Musk.
Amen.
A society
Sign me up.
of only Redditors. Welcome to Reddit Island.
Then we use Dogecoin,
This was an actual
I bet.
thing they tried to make happen. Believe it or not, the concept of a Reddit island has been out there for quite a while now. The idea
Thanks for
revolves
sub,
around
Jose,
getting a bunch of
SpongeBob,
Redditors
and give
together,
sub Jeff.
gathering a bunch of money, and buying a private island to call your own. If you disregard building infrastructure, having an economy, and having a gender ratio of 99 men to 1 woman, a Reddit island might be possible. Now, there are 2 separate cases of this attempting to happen. One that was started all the way back in 2010, and one that was started in 2021. For the sake of this
Let's
video,
go!
we're going to be focusing on the newest one, as the 2010 island project was a bit unremarkable. It didn't really go anywhere, and nothing came of it, apart from the abandoned
can't believe it.
subreddit, which exists as kind of a time capsule to old Reddit, if you will. Oh, and a Gawker article dating back to 2012, in which the author of this piece states, there are few places on Earth I could imagine wanting to spend time less than a remote island populated solely by hundreds of hardcore users of the social news site Reddit. I didn't
Well,
think
hey,
I would ever
man.
say this, but Gawker kind of hit the nail on the head.
It's kind of fucked.
The subreddit was mostly concerned
They're just
with
like
actual
us, but
logistical
smarter.
issues and the practicality of the idea. Spoiler alert, something you won't see in the new one. The 2010 Reddit island, likely due to a
Is he
lack
tier
of
1
direction,
Husky?
leadership, and
Resub code
organization,
Jad?
was abandoned in 2016, likely around the time they realized that this wasn't as easy as they thought it would be. Some of the obvious issues in regards to buying a private island in which you want to build a community on are economy.
Okay, here's a $10 bill. This is garbage. This is
Oh,
garbage.
no.
Infrastructure and opportunity. What the new Reddit island could do is take one of 2 paths. Learn from the mistakes and actually try to make this work, or say fuck it and dive balls first into building a society with no plan. I'm sure you can guess which path they took. Saying it didn't go well would be like saying a tsunami is just a splash of water. A complete understatement. The earliest traces of this new island plan.
How could it go bad, though? It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work. Unless they started paying for it.
A photo was posted by user Mr. No Name is here on April 30th. The message was communicated via a Spider-Man presentation link and stated the following. If Redditors wanted
They all
would
die.
join together and buy an island for the meme. The top comment on this post points out that Reddit islands already exist and are in fact a U.S. territory. However, they fail to mention the islands that aren't U.S. territories, which would be perfect for a Reddit island. Regardless, that didn't stop the upvotes and Reddit gold from coming
Big
in.
up,
Seeing
dudes,
the success of
baby.
the GME fiasco, maybe one could say these Redditors were being cocky. And you'd be right to say so. Soon after, a subreddit was created with the name r/Reddit_island, not to be confused with the old one, r/Reddit Island. What followed was essentially a propaganda campaign to get people to flock to the subreddit, and it kind of worked. The subreddit, as of now, has over 24,000 members, but there was a big problem, and it wasn't whether to buy a town or an island. It was, where do we go from here? We have all these bad memes and Redditors, but no direction. People started spitballing some ideas on where they could go. One suggested that Elon Musk should fund the island because he's a billionaire who uses Reddit. What?
That sounds like
was,
every
again,
fucking
suggested through one of
person
those
on Twitter.
presentation memes. It seemed
Oh
like
my
this idea
god.
was a shot in the dark until
Elon is literally the savior
this?
for some people.
the official Elon Musk Reddit account messaged one of the mods and wants to chat. Oh my god. This could actually happen. So while they attempted to secure funding via Elon, like every startup crypto on Twitter, the other Redditors got to work
Executive
on
sub
where
what's
to
the
go.
username and the prime
Somebody
nick.
suggests that they move to the Pitcairn Islands, a British protectorate of islands known for...
Oh
Anyway,
no,
the
no,
Pitcairn Islands have
no!
a protectorate...
Who told them about the Pitcairn Islands? We talked about this on the podcast for years. This is an island of pedophiles. This is the island we always talk about. Which one of you fucking leaked that? It's an island that literally only has 50 people and I think 40 are pedophiles. So if you have like a big enough group, like maybe just like 10 dudes, you could easily take them down. And a lot of them are really old. Oh, their plan isn't bad. The Pitcairn Islands, like that is ripe for the taking. That is an easy overthrow. Damn.
The Pitcairn Islands, a British protectorate of islands known for... Anyway, the Pitcairn Islands have a population of only 47. So if the Redditors were to move there, they could simply outvote the population and
Fuck!
claim it as their own.
They literally
In fact,
stole our plan!
a picture of Jim from the
With
office
less
waving
violence,
at
I
his
think.
Fucking whiteboard was the most upvoted post on the subreddit in regards to moving. Side note, how are these stupid presentation board memes even considered memes? They're not funny, there's no joke. What's the point? You just type it out at once. All it does is make you look like a smut. This seemed foolproof, right? Wrong. Two big problems with this idea. One, you'd need to obtain some sort of citizenship to vote. You can't just walk into some place and outvote the population, or else we'd all be speaking Mandarin. And if you were to somehow take over the island,
Thanks to resub
Pitcairn Island is a
Versant.
territory of the UK, and I'm sure they'd have something to say about that. Two, the Pitcairn Islands are in the middle of fucking nowhere, with conditions
They
less
are.
than ideal for living life. It's also inaccessible by plane, so you'd likely need a private boat with a skilled crew to even get there. Although from this footage it looks nice, most of it's uninhabitable. It looks like it's ripped straight from Far Cry 3 actually, now that I think about it. Imagine if Reddit Island turned into Far Cry 3. The good ending. The Pitcairn Islands seem to be the popular choice, even if it didn't make sense.
Get Mr.
Logistically,
Beast
economically,
involved.
Geographically, you get the goddamn point.
Fucking losers.
Unfortunately, though, even with all the brainstorming,
We can't do it. Let's just
Brain
ask
had no
Elon or
vision
Mr.
and
Beast to do
seemed
it for us.
only be half
We deserve it.
Until one day, one glorious day, somebody under the name Island Owner Alt claimed they had inherited a private island from their grandfather,
Oh my
who bought it
fucking
40
God.
years ago, and he wanted to expand it. He made a simple offer: if the Redditors could give him the money to cover the construction,
Oh my
transportation,
god, they
and
did!
costs, he would make this island an island of Redditors. The mods saw this post and the popularity it got and gave him
They
money.
got
He
fucking
must have
scammed!
successfully sold them on his pitch. He now has the mod approval, and we all know Reddit mods are never total idiots. To many, this looks somewhat legit now that it had an actual sense of organization. They dubbed this guy the Messiah.
Classic Reddit.
A little
Jesus
later in
Christ.
the day, Island Owner Alt makes another now deleted post claiming that this is possible, but they need funding. So if they donate to him, this can become a reality. Also, if they donate to his PayPal, they'll have their Reddit usernames engraved onto a plaque. Remember, they still have that Elon contact, so he can just reimburse them. What could possibly go wrong? Even after all
This
of
is incredible.
some people were skeptical, like this rational person, I mean hater, but fear not. Island Owner Alt was here to provide proof for the skeptics who dare question the Messiah. He was gonna prove the doubters wrong, and all the people who donated to him right. He showed where the island is. Right here, off the main island in Cuba. He provided pictures from the island, and a reverse image search shows these pictures were not taken from Google Images. And just in case you still had any doubts, he showed the deed to the island, which his grandfather had passed down to him. 100% proof that this is real. Holy shit. Let's send in all the money. But hold on. While you're doing that, I just want to talk about some stuff here. There are some issues. These pictures can be found on Google Maps if you go to said island. Okay,
I can't believe it.
The deed, right? I'm still getting my name on the plaque, right? Well, take a look at this deed. Notice anything off about it?
No, it looks good.
The title is in Spanish, but the text is all in English. That's odd for a document from the Cuban government, a country where they only have one national language, Spanish. Doesn't seem very official. Speaking of official, the document has no government seal or stamp on it either. Also, the latitude and longitude coordinates from the deed and the picture he showed don't match up. This guy also claimed that his grandpa bought the private island in Cuba around 40 years ago. But Cuba is a communist country, meaning that there is no private land ownership. Private property wasn't allowed in Cuba until 2018, meaning either his grandpa had some sort of in with the government, or the jigsaw is falling into place. Also, another thing, this guy...
Yeah, but I can trust him, he's a Redditor.
Amount, I should add.
Yeah, I can trust him.
But PayPal doesn't...
Redditors wouldn't lie.
Meaning he has to be stationed in somewhere that is not Cuba. Weird considering he said he'd be using the money for services on the island located in Cuba. At this point, it seemed like Reddit did its thing and essentially gave their money to Lyle Landley in exchange for nothing. But I hear you saying, this could all be a coincidence. There's still hope, right? We can still pull this off. Well, just in case you needed any more proof, take it from the horse's mouth. Island owner Alt made a post with a simple caption.
Salmon and
Thanks
Blaine.
for the money, suckers. And in the comments, he claimed he wouldn't refund them. But wait, they still have contacts with Elon. He'll be the one.
I wonder how much they got.
It was a fake screenshot from a mod who tried to justify it as an honest mistake. It clearly was not honest in any way.
Hold on, I want to see the whole apology. A technological glitch. That's weird. What a weird glitch where Elon accidentally sends, or Reddit glitches out and makes you think Elon sends a DM. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my god. Oh, it's so painful. People actually sent that dude money too, and then this mod tries to just say like it was a technological glitch. I accidentally inputted the Konami cheat code, and for some reason Elon was typing to me. Oh fuck, I'm so sorry. It was weird that Reddit glitched. Curses does the narwhal bacon at midnight.
It clearly was not honest in any way. And with that final blow and one last presentation meme came the end of Reddit Island. Kind of, but we'll get into that a bit later. First, let's get into the aftermath. In that same thread, people were claiming they were going to sue island owner Alt, and he's going to be...
God, he's really, like,
kind of.
blasting through these. I want to read these.
First, let's get into the aftermath. And that's...
You're a terrible person. I would rather spend an hour locked in a room with your mother than take a single look at your greasy ass looking face. What does that even mean? It doesn't even make any fucking sense. You suck. I'd rather be with your mom instead of you. Ouch. Shit. This reads like somebody that would send money to a guy that claims he can make a Reddit island. Have fun dealing with the FBI investigators and being sued. Yes. Can I get the FBI on the line? There was a guy on Reddit and I gave him money and he lied. Okay, thank you. Wow, I can't. This is a new low even for Reddit.
Same thread, people were claiming they were going to sue island owner Alt, and he's going to be arrested for fraud. While I don't know if he'll be arrested, this is an important note. This tells me that people certainly donated money to this.
God, There's so many comments I want to read. I'm really invested in this now. He fucking ratioed him on his own scam. On a oh my god. Damn, that is rough.
People certainly donated money to this, and if this guy's internet rage is anything to go off of, it might have been a lot of money. There have been multiple claims floating around about the amount.
Thanks to resub Sax Facts and QD.
Donated over 30,000.
Oh, 100% he did not do that. No, absolutely not. He's just trying to get like 30k back or some shit. No way. 0% chance. Not even the dumbest person in the world would do that. Not even the most gullible geriatric octogenarian gives that kind of money away to someone they don't know on a telemarketing scam. 0 chance.
$1,000? Insane. But probably fake. Some people agreed that he would have taken around $700.
So $700 for doing nothing? That is a great deal. I imagine it's higher too. This reads like some copium. I definitely think it was more than 700. People throw money to people for no reason all the time.
$100, which seems
Thanks
a
to Prime
bit
Salty
more
and the resub.
believable, but again, I haven't seen any solid proof of
Hotbox,
this.
Skelly
There's no
Boy,
way
and
to know
Rugged.
what's true in this case.
The
Either
Bits
way,
Gamer.
I think we can comfortably say people got scammed here. This was clearly a failure for almost everyone. But what if it didn't have to be this way? Let's say, for the sake of argument, this actually went through. Let's say in some miracle world, Reddit bought an island and managed to get a bunch of people to move there. Then what? We could make an exclusive subreddit for island members? Yeah, I have a feeling this might not have been thought out very well. Who would even lead the island anyway?
Yo, we're coming at you live from Camp Wawa.
Thanks to resub.
In my opinion,
Ungodly.
best case scenario, Lord of the Flies. Worst case scenario, everyone dies from lack of food, water, and shelter.
What kind of place is this?
But in a way, I kind of get the appeal. There is something kind of interesting about just getting up and leaving, isolating away
Thanks to
from
Tier 1
society,
Chief
then
and Tier 1
advocating
Frost
for a
Phoenix.
nature-based form of anarchism and opposing the Industrial Revolution. Wait, no, not that last part. Which leads me into my thoughts on the whole thing. I want to be honest, guys. I'm a little conflicted. On one hand, yeah, this guy scammed people after he promised something to them, and he might have committed a crime. On the other hand, did you actually think you were getting an island? I mean,
Yeah, I think you
I've
absolutely
seen
deserve
some
to get
scare
scammed
old
there
lady
if you
with
gave him
dementia
money.
Who doesn't understand technology. Kids, stop buying V-Bucks.
Is it Tier
and
1
start
Wells
buying an
Law
island
and
with
Tier
your
1
mom.
Uneasy Bake
It's
Oven?
kind of like the Darwin Awards, where if you take the context out of it and don't provide details, yeah, it's a bad thing.
Oh, he did.
But if you put in the context and give some backstory, there is some kind of comedy there. Did this guy commit a crime? Probably.
Nope.
Are these people naive for donating to this? I find it hard to feel bad for people who were dumb enough to donate to someone like this with zero proof. And the mods are somewhat
Not
to
true, he
blame
had
for modding this
pictures.
guy despite that. But the story doesn't end there. You'd assume the idea of a Reddit island is essentially over. There have been 2 attempts and both have failed.
Thanks,
But what if
Rusev
I
Ash.
told you there are some secret underground operations that I have exclusive access to get a 3rd Reddit island going? Like the 3rd Madagascar movie that nobody remembers. There are subreddits set up now from the remainder of the Reddit Island people like this
Jesus
one. Reddit
Christ.
Island Reborn.
Oh my
And
god.
this one promises to work. They even said they were going to build a theme park called Meme Land when they got there. They can't fail.
Ha! Never heard that.
Oh my god. I want to read that. But I don't understand what this grant money has to do with anything when it's being used for research. Oh my god. What? Is he an actual bioscience student, I wonder? Oh my god. Thanks to Tier 1 Kawaii Baby and Prime Ewok and gift sub. What's in username? There's no way. Yeah, there's just no fucking way. I refuse to believe that. Oh my god.
Never heard that.
They also set up an official website, and this time they have
What?
an official team working on this, consisting of.
Oh, it looks good.
Don't worry about that. They have a frequently
I
asked
trust them.
questions page. We can check there to learn more. But don't fret. They're taking donations. This isn't a money pit like the last two, and 2 days after donations were enabled, they were disabled. Listen, guys, I'm going to be straight up with you. If you, for some reason, have any hope that this is going to work, I have a message for you.
What the definition of insanity is. Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting.
What a crazy little adventure.
That is crazy.
Thanks for 5 gift subs, Weenie. I appreciate that.
Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video.
You know what? I take back all the harsh criticism. This video is biased. It doesn't show this full story. Reddit Island is possible.
Thursday. Wayne Kernican was stuck at home during an excruciatingly long winter. He was what his parents believed to
Was
be
his
a
name
problem
Ween?
child, experiencing nightmares, arguing with his 7 siblings, and getting in trouble at school. His parents' method of punishment wasn't the best. Having gone on record to state that his father beats him with hockey sticks, it was undeniable that their humble abode in suburban Connecticut was less of a place of refuge for him, and more of a cell of torment.
Thanks, the
phone
resub
rings in the
snake.
kitchen, and his mom answers. It's from a school up north called Alon. The man on the phone says that Wayne should come right away, and that they'll have a private jet waiting for him at Danbury Airport.
What a good deal.
His mom tells him not to worry,
Wow.
and that it's more of an outdoor camp type thing that'll make him better. According to the flyer she read, it was proven with a 95% success rate, and their alumni were all leaving as better people than when they first arrived there. Counselors, psychiatrists, activities, friends. Alon had it all, he was told. And so Wayne packed up his stuff that night. Eager, sure. Nervous, yes. But absolutely awaiting the things to come.
Thanks, the resub Chuba.
The plane touches down in Portland, Maine. 2 men greet him. After embarking for the school 30 minutes north of Poland, his escorts inquire on why he was sent there.
Who made this vid? It's Nexpo.
Nope.
Court order?
No.
So why the hell are you going?
They joke. And then things get quiet.
I keep seeing this one's fucked up.
Wayne began to question whether he
Why?
was going to the place he thought he was.
Cults are known to be pretty cool.
Didn't seem right, but he was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt.
Thanks to Prime Soap. And the resub
The
Crunchy.
two pull off a back wooded road into a clearing. Looks like a camp, he thinks. However, when he exits the vehicle, he isn't greeted with the silent serenity of nature. But instead, the screaming.
Yeah, but that could mean anything. I scream when I'm having a lot of fun. Like, yeehaw, we're having fun. Yeah, I saw the American Horror Story cult season. American Horror Story is the best shitty show.
The 1970s 80s were an interesting time. Across the United States, a rise in for-profit behavior modification facilities were in action. Now called the troubled teen or tough love industry, it seemed to be a money machine aimed at altering and stifling troublesome behavior in adolescents.
Well,
The
someone's
exact
got
date
to.
is hard to gauge due to the widely varying nature of the names, motives, and specialties of each of these schools, but they were widespread and only became more so throughout the 80s. It's widely believed that the parental reception to the era's youth were the catalyst for facilities like this. Given that this was the decade following the rise of the hippie subculture, authority was and had been challenged for years.
Whoa! That facial hair is kind of nutty. That looks cool. It's like Wolverine, but not cool like Wolverine's. It's like a little cushion. That's nice. That's like an OG neckbeard.
Resulting in a sort of panic among older generations. Resultingly, in early 1970, a psychiatrist
Thanks to
named
resub
Gerald
Finca.
Davidson, alongside investor David Goldberg and a man named Joseph Ritchie, would band together to create a school named Elan, a private co-ed behavior modification program geared from grade 8 to beyond high school. Ritchie built the facility as one that would correct bad behavior by teens without punishment, while painting himself as a genuine mentor that could help make that happen.
They had a
Sitting on
website?
33 acres of land off of Number 5 Road in Poland, Maine, Elan's main campus was highly secluded and a long shot from any outside civilization. With numerous facilities in place, the school was well equipped to handle a student body in the hundreds, and within the span of just 1 year, they'd eventually meet that metric. Numerous alumni, much like Wayne, have gone on record to state that their initial, outside impression of the school was that it was like a summer camp in the Maine woods. However,
Looks like a summer camp.
reality would paint a different picture. Allegedly, the final minutes of the trip there were unforgettable, with Elan being
Thanks, Resub.
shrouded down a long dirt road
Jibuhani.
in the middle of the wilderness, and made up of rundown trailers and buildings, giving it a frightening feeling of dread. Furthermore, some have stated
It does look
that
like
once they
Crystal
exit
Lake.
the vehicle expecting a lively campground, they're instead faced with a sight much stranger. Some students were spotted wearing degrading signs, some shackled in handcuffs,
What?
some being yelled at, and bizarrely, everyone would just pretend it's normal. At this point,
They
it's
take
been
discipline
noted that
very
some students
seriously.
attempted to flee. We weren't entirely sure what the Elan school was, but it was clear to them that it wasn't good. These escape efforts were always futile though, as Elan stationed guards around the campus to chase and subdue outliers that would attempt this. Considering how the school was marketed, touting itself as an altruistic institution genuinely concerned with helping troubled teenagers get better, it was clear from the outside that those claims were a reach.
Is that Charles Manson teaching the class?
But
Man, they got
just how far
celebrities,
would they take
teachers.
that?
Good for them.
What most students were unaware of was that behind their back, a deal was made on their behalf. With nothing but a simple signature
Thanks,
and
Lisa
payment,
Pooperoonie.
parents could sign their child's life over to Elan, which advertised itself as a positive, reaffirming center of growth. According to an excerpt from an early 2000s archive of their website, we can observe the vernacular
So this is pretty
used to
recent.
appeal to each parent. Dear parents, we're very aware of how lonely and confused you must feel as you sit down to read this. If you're like the parents of most of our students, you're faced with an adolescent whose behavior is out of control and you don't know why. A youngster who's been given everything and is throwing it all away is difficult to understand, but you can see that this process is progressive. The most saddening part is knowing that your offspring is ruining his or her future. Your own pain is difficult, but your pain for your child is unbearable.
Yeah, they're not reaching their
By
full
going to
potential.
Elan, you have come to a truly different school. We can't offer you miracles, but we can offer you hope. We know that your journey to this point has been painful. We hope Elan can change its course. On top of this, school staff were known to hand out flyers to parents while persuading them that their child just might be troubled. It's been noted that Joseph Ritchie was somewhat of a salesman. He was charismatic and excelled at convincing parents of all the good that Alon could do for their kids. The good that, as we'll soon find, was all a lie. I'd like to let it be known that Wayne's Alon admission story was on the lighter side. For most of the other students, things were handled a bit more violently. Instead of a plane, school alumni have gone on record to state that they were transported by van. Reportedly, once your parents agreed to send you off to Alon and pay the $50,000 tuition fee, they designate a time and date with Alon's so-called teen escort service. They won't pick you up during the day, though. Instead, in the middle of the night when you're fast asleep, they would bust through your door and kidnap you.
Why?
In years past, Alon's staff have stated that since the child has no say in attending, their capture hinges on the element of surprise.
Okay.
According to a blog named Suzuki's Thoughts, the abduction process involves
So are these just stories what?
Physically subduing them.
Are these just stories this guy makes up? What? No, what? Is all you read creepypastas? Why would he make up a 52-minute story and make websites to corroborate it and evidence and stuff? It's just like a history lesson that's well presented.
Tying them up with plastic handcuffs, throwing them into a van, and then driving them to Poland, Maine, where they'd be handed over to the Alon School. Such experiences often traumatized the teens who were abducted. For all they knew at first, they were being taken by criminals to be held ransom, tortured, or worse, killed. For the girls, it was even more terrifying. Some girls later recalled that they believed that they were going to be raped and murdered by their abductors.
Tier 1 kindy.
One certainly can't blame the kids for thinking this way. Such practices had all the hallmarks of a violent kidnapping. This practice became notorious around the United States, eventually earning its nickname, the Alon Snatch.
So this was so well known that it had its own name?
Morality wasn't the school's strong suit. But that ultimately begs the question, would it stop there? Or was their torment only just beginning?
Thanks for resubs, Zilleezy. The 70s, man? What are you talking about? This was in 2000. They have a fucking website. Had a website.
Day 1. Students would typically arrive to Alon during the early morning hours of the day.
Oh, it started in the 70s. Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying.
To resist their escorts.
I see what you're saying, sorry.
It's been noted that their capture was designed this way, utilizing their escape attempt against them as a tool to convey that no matter what, they're not getting out of there. And with this came the first steps of dehumanization, instilling the feeling that their basic rights had been robbed of them, in turn making them feel like less of a student, more like a prisoner.
Well, they did just get kidnapped.
This sentiment was taken even further when they're physically taken inside the school. Often, the first stop would be the dormitory showers, which served as a tool in robbing each student of their sense of individuality. Reportedly, students are thrown into them with absolutely no privacy and are demanded to remove all of their clothing and valuable items. After complying, they're given what Alon calls no-image clothing, which, as the name implies, simply includes a bland, colorless shirt and pants, effectively forcing them into a state of conformity.
Well, let's not get carried away. A white t-shirt's pretty cool.
Each student will be taken into a common area where there
I wouldn't necessarily look too deep into that.
This, in essence, was a tenured student designated to be a guide. On paper, they were told to help their students adjust to their new life on campus, somewhat like a peer, while educating them on how great and effective the program is. In reality, though, this relationship was far from friendly. It's been reported that big brothers would often try to deceive their newer counterparts, enticing them to run away or to break the rules. If the student had ever agreed or attempted to listen to this, their behavior would be reported to school staff, resulting in punishment. As we've seen in studies like the Stanford Prison Experiment, I'm sure you can see why this would be a bad idea.
I don't know that experiment.
Oftentimes, big brother figures, much like staff, would take great pleasure in exerting their superiority over the newer students. It fulfilled them in a way that was almost cult-like.
Yes, you do. I don't know that one. Hey, well, thank you for that, Stove. I heard about the Alan Wake announcement. I'm excited. Looks like the house from Promised Neverland.
Like a baby, you get screamed at. If you want to act as more of a mature adolescent, you get talked to.
Oh, so I was like, wait, what?
Speaking of cults,
was that footage from Elon University? Is it Elon or Elan? I don't know how to say it. Either way. But didn't you just say that they were forced to wear like the colorless shirts? Thanks to the resub, Jeski, Coral, Pablo, and Prime Bus. Because that guy, like, that second guy, he's kind of dripped out. He's got a chain on. He's got a red button up. Oh, that was staff. Gotcha.
The social hierarchy at Elan is structured in a way that heavily resembles one. At the school, students are
Professor
immediately
Snape.
placed into two categories. Strengths, which were tenured, obedient students that were a few steps up the totem pole, and non-strengths, the newer ones who typically resisted treatment. Strengths were allowed to talk to fellow strengths and non-strengths. Non-strengths, on the other hand, were only permitted to communicate with strengths. If a non-strength were caught communicating with a non-strength, harsh punishment would soon greet them.
Thanks to resub mob. And the 2K bit Sam, I appreciate that.
The Elan school, as we've established, thrives on the feeling of hopelessness. Throughout students' tenures there, they were forbidden to contact anyone from the outside world unless they've earned the privilege through good behavior and compliance. Every single phone line on campus would run through a single switchboard located in this small trailer, and it was heavily guarded because of that. If a student were to gain the privilege of contacting their family, it's been reported that they're heavily monitored, only permitted to praise the school for all the good it's done to help them during their time there. If they ever were to be caught telling the truth or revealing the atrocities that occur behind the scenes, they were quickly disconnected, reprimanded, and robbed of any future potential.
So if this is supposed to be a scam, I feel like this is a lot more effort than just not
on top of the phone manipulation,
doing this.
Every Elan resident was required
It seems like
to
so
write
much more
what the
work
school
to abuse
calls
the
a guilt
kids.
letter, which, as you might expect, is an explanation of how great the Elan school is for them, all the great activities they do there, and how well they're progressing through the program. These letters would be heavily scrutinized before being mailed out to their parents. Effectively, this tactic's goal was twofold: to allow Elan's facade to remain in place, and to entice their parents to spend more money on their treatment, in turn keeping them there even longer than they had ever planned to. In reality, students were helpless, being abused, and in most
Yeah, I get that it's a
cases,
cult,
verbally
but usually
tortured
cults have a
at the pleasure
purpose.
of the Elan school staff. It was clear to students that they weren't getting away from this anytime soon, and after realizing this, their minds would often pivot away from rebellion and towards compliance in hopes of power.
Yeah,
through the
money.
program.
That's why I would think
This
they'd want to
student
run a
was prepared
scam
to
as
become
opposed to a
someone
cult, and it'd be so much easier to
ultimately stuck
not
in a
abuse the
system that
kids.
will do
Takes a lot
everything
more
it
work to do
possibly
that, I
can
imagine.
to make their escape impossible.
So I'm assuming there is a point to the cult, like they want to turn these kids into like super soldiers or something, I don't really know. But if it was just a scam, they're putting a lot of work into it. Whereas they could just take the kids here for $50K a year and
As
just
you
let
might
them play
expect,
basketball
the
and
rules
sleep.
at the Elan school were immense, exerting nearly totalitarian control over everything that happens. Joe Ritchie's set of rules, which he called guilt, was gargantuan and needlessly meticulous.
Maybe tier 1 Wheelu.
As a student at Elan, you would be expected to refrain from doing the following: having any image, reading as a non-strength, not completing learning experiences, writing without permission, being sideways,
Don't know what
looking
that
at
means.
security zones, non-strength interacting, talking too loudly, talking too softly, looking at the opposite gender, being
Whoa.
attracted to someone,
Whoa.
any physical contact, looking out windows,
What?
unauthorized drawing, not listening to higher
Holy
ranks,
shit.
pretending to sleep at night, thinking of running away, being in the bathroom for too long, wearing dark clothing, being manipulative, being lazy while working, listening to music, talking too much, showering for
All
more
in
than
all, they're
10
pretty
minutes,
lenient.
not talking enough, making facial reactions to orders, negative body language, pretending not to have guilt, oversleeping, undersleeping, smiling, and the list goes on and on.
That's not bad.
Clearly, these rules were not designed to be followed.
Basically a lawless
causing
place
harsh
over there.
penalizations to become commonplace. To help enforce these,
X37
individuals
Integra
known
and
as
Razzle Dazzle.
expediters were designated by the school to stand on watch with clipboards. Primarily, they were known to catch those that broke 3 rules: being attracted to members of the
Give
opposite
sub Uzi.
gender, looking at the opposite gender, and making prolonged eye contact with anyone else. Since expediters too were required to fill their clipboards with names and infractions at the risk of their own punishment, they frequently and unapologetically made assumptions and accusations that were a lie.
These do give subs art.
As you'd expect, punishment varied pretty heavily at Elan, and not in a good way. One example involved requiring a group of students to live in a dumpster for over 2 weeks.
Whoa.
The expediter watching them was tasked with ensuring compliance and preventing any attempt to escape. If their subordinates acted out, however, the expediter on duty would be forced to live in the dumpster with them while being monitored by yet another who was up to the task. Another
Wow.
major tactic at Elan was
Jesus.
humiliation. They figured that by breaking down their social barrier, forcing students into extreme embarrassment, they could drive them to a point of total compliance. Those who tried to escape were often labeled as a split risk, and their punishment for doing so was confiscation of their shoelaces and the requirement to wear a bright yellow t-shirt and short pink shorts. The school figured that without laces, their shoes were effectively useless,
What?
in turn preventing any ability to move any faster than a walk.
What is it,
A
like
more
barbed
extreme
wire on the
example
ground
of
or
split
something?
risk punishment
Just go
is
barefoot.
shown with this student. Instead of a t-shirt and shorts though, he was forced to wear a bright pink rabbit suit with cuffs around his legs. It's unclear if this is a repeat offender, but it raises the question as to how far Elan would actually go with this tactic.
Thanks to Resub Hunter.
Students that smiled at a place were punished by wearing dunce caps and reduced to work that the school calls shot down. These involved repetitious, dull tasks like mopping floors, scrubbing the insides of trash cans, and even cleaning toilets with just a single toothbrush. for
Man, if I
hours and
went to
hours
one of
on
these
end.
fucking schools, if my parents
If
sent
you
me
had to
here,
use the
I would never
bathroom during
forgive them.
shutdown, it's been noted that approval by sometimes 6 or more superiors was required before you were able. And even then, an escort had to watch you while you were in there. This, on top of a myriad of other degrading punishments,
Makes you some
like
retribution.
humiliating sign and diaper wearing, it's clear that Elan kept an iron grip on their daily operations. Their daily operations that took up most of the daily schedule, and those that were deceptively named by the Elan school themselves as their treatment.
Makes it a bit savage. Give sub Ethan.
But I will say, all of these punishments are relatively tame compared to what we're about to talk about. Let's just say, if you pissed off a staff member, they could start something called a general meeting on you. And trust me, you wouldn't want one.
That doesn't sound so intense. Well, we're just gonna debate, huh?
There seemed to be no standard for them. They would just happen at random, multiple times each day. If staff were
There's a tier
annoyed
1 Joseph
or felt
and
like
resub
targeting a
move.
specific student for some reason, they could call a general meeting at any time. Once these words were uttered, everyone in the building would be required to gather in front of the students
give some
in whichever
Kiki.
room they were in. Get your feelings off, the administrator screams. And following this, each student in the room would begin screaming at and berating the student, firing off slurs and obscenities. For
Oh,
no
so it's
reason
like
or
Twitter.
no matter how much
Pretty
the student
innovative.
pled for everyone to stop, no matter how much they broke down, no matter how much they cried, general meetings would not end until the admin said so. when it finally did, the victim would lie there, often crying and exhausted at the relentless abuse that they'd just endured. It's clear that general meetings aren't designed to reprimand. They're designed to completely break each and every student that's the subject of one. And with this, we can effectively put the points together that Alon was doing nothing more than running an operation that commanded total compliance. Any self-thought or sliver of independence that students thought they had was gone. They were merely reduced to weapons. Weapons that, at a moment's notice, could just as easily be used against them. "7 p.m.
Are they also haunted by vampires or something too? Like, how much worse can it get? Fucking werewolves or something?
On academia and outside marketing, school time within Alon was secondhand to the students' treatment. Typically, the time frame for learning was 7 to 11 p.m., but sometimes could run longer. As you might expect, there were no extracurriculars, no physical education,
on Squish
no
in the resub
projects,
Kakaru,
no
Zero,
legitimate
and Gengar.
exams, nothing. Instead, students were required to grade themselves on work that they were self-assigned with absolutely no direction. The structure of class typically involved a staff member supervising a room full of children. Each night of learning involved completing work out of freshman-level textbooks, which, unsurprisingly for a group of teenagers, would be immensely uneventful. Given that class time was after a long day full of verbal abuse, monotonous tasks, and a hierarchy system that does nothing but suffocate the lower classes, students dozing off and losing track of their work was expected. Curiously, school time too was regarded as a privilege
savage,
at
and
Alon.
I guess
Joe Ritchie has gone on record to state that the class schedule itself was designed this way on purpose. Allegedly, he believes students were easier to control while sleep deprived and utilized even this as a medium to work against them. By 11 p.m., if a student makes it through a night of work without issue, school hours then draw to a close.
Not bad.
They're quickly released from class and escorted to their dorms, which were often in the form of uncomfortable, impersonal, military-style bunk beds.
That's military style? A piece of wood?
Sleep was known to be difficult, as designated students named night owls were assigned to stand guard with flashlights. In regular intervals, they'd shine them on the sleeping students to both ensure that they hadn't escaped and to secure the fact that they're actually asleep.
What?
A requirement that, as we can recall, was also in the list of Alon's rules. And if one actually manages to calm their nerves, dozing off into their only time of tranquility, that would allow them to effectively place the cap on a day in the nightmare. That is Alon.
Exit Prime, Avanath, True Toxic, and the 10 gift subs, Nataroni. Thank you, Nataroni. I want to look something up real quick. I'm curious. Let me see something. I don't want to spoil anything, but I do want to see something. I just want to see if like the main guy behind it's still alive, but I don't want it to be a spoiler either. His name was like Joe something and I forgot, so I'm trying to find it. It says, I don't think it's Joe Rogan, but it keeps wanting me to type in Joe Rogan. It was like Joe something. Ritchie, that's what it was. Thank you. He's dead. Damn. Thanks to Prime Tarkus and the resub Paranoid and Cookies and the tier 1 Matt.
And then you get to do it all over again. mysterious aspect of Alon, among everything else that happened there, was something called the Ring. Considered the highest level of punishment, Alon staff could make the call to start the Ring at any time. The structure was set up similar to that of a general meeting, and was typically commenced when school staff believed that the punishment wasn't harsh enough for a specific student.
Well, I gave them safety equipment.
In the Ring, a student's designated as a bully and is outfitted with a face guard and gloves. Surrounding them are troves of others that are commanded to scream and yell obscenities at them. While this is taking place, specific students will be chosen to compete against the bully in numerous fistfights until school staff decided that they were sufficiently injured. No one was safe from the Ring either. Some bore pre-existing injuries, some were much smaller than their opponent, and some were even pregnant.
Wait, what?
Even worse, things seemed to be treated like a game, with superiors commentating.
This is
on
only up
matches
to
like
high
they were
school.
on TV. In reality,
How are
though, this was the furthest.
Wait, I'm super curious then. So how were some of them pregnant? Because you're not even allowed to look at the opposite gender, and assuming that you lived here for a year, how would you get pregnant? That makes no sense to me. I guess if they could have arrived pregnant, which would check out. Staff? Oh, I see what you're saying, by the staff. Right. Thanks to the prime material. I keep forgetting that there's actual adults behind this, because it looks like, it sounds like they literally only appoint the students to do everything here. It's like Lord of the Flies.
This thing from TV. This was handcrafted abuse. Alon was meticulous about orchestrating fights for the Ring, too. It's been noted that certain students would regularly be punished for another's actions, effectively engineering anger between them. This was often noticed between big brothers and their subordinates, as they'd be punished for the actions of their newer counterparts. And once they were angry enough, a ring fight would commence, often injuring students so badly that they'd sustain permanent brain damage, PTSD, and even death.
It costs $17,400 to send the average youngster to Elan for 1 year. Even at that price, there are judges, social workers, and parents who consider it a bargain. Elan's defenders claim it has the most consistently effective program for salvaging young people who are too difficult for other facilities to handle. So many states want to use Elan that there's a waiting list. But on the other hand, one state agency in Massachusetts will no longer send their youngsters here because they object to the way the children are treated. One reason is the use of physical punishment. Joe, you make no bones about it. There is corporal punishment here at Elan. Tell us about it. What are the stages it comes in? Who's it administered by?
Well, it's administered by the kids, first of all. And corporal, it's a harsh term. Okay, what it is we have the ring, okay, which
oh, he's super open about it.
Misinterprets. It's not a boxing ring, it's a ring of human people. The bully is introduced as what he is. In this corner is the bully who's trying to turn this facility into a detention center. Okay, and in this corner is the house champion who's going to show him why it can't be done. And that's exactly how it does. And we never allow the bully to win.
But girls get put in the ring too.
Well, girls bully as well as boys do. I mean, you know, it doesn't, you know, we're a equal rights facility.
Oh, that's progressive. Okay.
Spanking, which is symbolic. Again, it's a last resort. Okay,
wow.
and it's one resident spanking another resident, and it's done with a ping pong paddle. Okay, and usually a person won't get spanked more than once or twice. But it's a symbolic thing, which is if you're going to act like a baby, you should be treated like a baby.
On December
so he is just super open about it.
A 15-year-old Elan student named Philip Williams was placed into the ring. He wasn't the largest kid there, but he was known to do what he could to put up a fight. He had grown up in a family of division, regularly witnessing his father physically abuse his mother. With this, there was an anger within him, a sadness that Elan noticed and wanted to exploit. And so, that evening, a ring session commenced with Phil as the bully. There was fight after fight after fight. In the end, It's been reported that he was beaten up so badly that he fell flat on the floor, and it took an entire 20 minutes before an ambulance was called to help him. 20 minutes or so they called the ambulance. They took Phil and they never saw him again. His sister claims, "I thought it was a wonderful place. I thought they were helping my brother. I thought he was coming home."
Like, how can you think that when they actually kidnapped him?
In a box.
Like, I don't get that delusion.
Alon's
Their technique was to
official response
kidnap
was
them.
that he had regularly faked headaches. The cause of death? A brain aneurysm. And no charges were ever filed against them. It's been clear to us from the beginning that Alon is not a place of good. From humiliation to beratement to physical abuse, Alon's tactics were archaic
Exit Tier 1
and
Ryan
inhumane.
and the resub Connor.
For a school that markets itself on academia, on helping students get their lives back on track, it's crystal clear that this has never been the motive. What I find interesting, though, is that Alon wasn't even the first to utilize this type of therapy, this attack therapy. In fact, it has its roots in a cult that found its footing all the way back in the mid-1950s.
Exit Tier 1 Awesome Pie Man.
That cult is one by the name of Synanon.
Never heard of it, and I know a lot of cults.
County with a warrant to investigate reports of child abuse.
In recent years, Synanon began calling itself a religion.
He's 52 years old. He's deaf in one ear. He's an egomaniac. But one of the wisest persons that I've ever met in my life.
He knows how to get people moving. He creates turbulence.
Gentlemen, until
Exit Prime
further
Bone
notice,
Scope.
no member of the California Department of Corrections is permitted on Synanon property unless he has the express permission of Charles D.
Very cool
Chairman,
spectacles.
Synanon.
What is he, a fighter pilot?
In early 1958, a man by the name of Charles Dedrick Sr. would found the group in Santa Monica, California. It was intended to be a drug rehabilitation program aimed at delinquents. However, in the years that followed, it appeared to stray from that mission entirely. The distinguishing form of therapy employed by Synanon was something called the game, which, in today's terms, is more commonly known as attack therapy. The focus of the game was
It's a
to
really
break down
weird
the social
title for it.
construct of an individual's mind by first
Attack
allowing them
therapy?
to open up about themselves before commencing an aggressive beratement session, much like we discussed earlier with general meetings. The primary goal was to recreate someone's personality and sense of self by completely demolishing
Thanks for
everything
gifts up
they know
again,
about
Remy.
themselves
The resub
before
Mango.
rebuilding them as a newer, subjectively better person. It hinged on the brink of legality while being entirely immoral. And, unsurprisingly, by 1991, the cult would disband due to criminal convictions that caught up to many of their members. The founder also died just 6 years later, leaving behind a dark legacy that, to this day, is known as one of the most dangerous and violent cults that America has ever seen.
That's weird. I've never heard of him.
This is, of course, the abridged history. To be honest with you, I could make an entire hour-long video on the operations and practices of Synanon.
Oh, they look like they're having
That's a story
fun.
for another day. If there's one takeaway tonight, though, it's that it unknowingly
Fucking
served as an
groovin'.
inspiration and blueprint for other institutions to follow. One of those being Alon, and by utilizing similar practices, they appeared to carry the torch that Synanon was forced to abandon. They knew they had to keep up appearances too, thriving off an immaculate public
Thank you,
image,
Brian.
spearheaded
Mihu.
by the charisma of Joe Ritchie.
Joe.
Before the age of the internet, admittedly this
Man's
was
built
easier
like
to
your
do.
grandmother.
Television documentaries like NBC's For the Child's Own Good were seemingly the only inside look that the public was allowed to gain. However, even they failed to convey the true extent of what happened there. The hush-hush foundation that Alon was built upon initially seemed to be unbreakable. However, due to a rise in public attention that would soon find its way there, it was becoming increasingly apparent that the cracks beneath that very foundation were merely beginning to form.
Is it Prime Pink? Why didn't they fight back? Brother kids. What do you mean?
Through the late 70s and into the early 80s, reports of the true nature of Elan began to spread by word of mouth from former students. Authorities in Maine reportedly visited the school upwards of 12 times to investigate, however returned with absolutely nothing to show for it. Frustratingly, the operation that Joe Ritchie was running was completely and entirely legal. There were no laws in place for facilities like this, so it was allowed to remain in operation without issue. As we touched on, the media was the primary in for outsiders at Elan. However, even they failed to communicate the extent of their operations. While they showed select parts of it, unfortunately Joe Ritchie was given enough airtime to convince the public and the news crew that it was nothing more than their treatment taking place. By dehumanizing the students, emphasizing their delinquencies on national television, he was able to use this notoriety to his advantage, ultimately swaying the public opinion into believing that what he was doing was entirely good. On top of the growing number of alumni, though, came an increase in escapees, which only furthered Elan's unwanted infamy. Over the years, 3 students, a 16-year-old unidentified individual, a 15-year-old Brad Glickman,
Good work.
and a 17-year-old Don Birnbaum would all escape successfully, however would meet wildly differing fates.
Oh.
For the 16-year-old, it's been reported that he ran over 15 miles through the wilderness in the middle of the night. He was eventually caught by an officer, Max Ashburn, and after hearing the boy's story and observing his physical condition, he helped him return home.
What a good guy!
For Brad Glickman, he was shot.
Oh.
In 1990, after escaping Elan's search parties, he made his way to a house in a small town. Authorities believe that he had a connection to the girl that lived there. However, the homeowner opened fire, ultimately killing him.
What? What? That's like the most American shit I've ever heard in my life. This guy must know my daughter. Like, what? Jesus Christ. Actually, 2 gift subs Kill Command in the resub Terra in Tier 1 Summer.
And for Don Birnbaum,
how unlucky.
Too had escaped the clutches of Elan, eventually finding a trucker named James Cruz who was willing to take her home. A few hours down the road, though, Birnbaum would find that Cruz's true intentions weren't quite so virtuous.
Oh, Jesus.
As it turned out, he sexually assaulted her on the side of the highway before strangling and abandoning her body between routes 26 and 550 in Pennsylvania. She was discovered by another motorist with a yellow rope tied around her neck and without clothes from the waist down. And from her corpse were tire tracks resembling that of a semi-trailer. Since Birnbaum had crossed state lines, an FBI investigation was commenced for her, and after cross-checking with numerous similar cases that have happened in the area, the truck belonging to James Cruz was deemed as the culprit. Upon catching up to him and searching his vehicle, authorities were able to find but a single blonde hair that belonged to Birnbaum, effectively leading to his arrest.
That's incredible detective work. Like, just think about that for a second. This is in the middle of fucking nowhere. Random trucker picks up a random student, well, student's the wrong word, random person from a cult, and they somehow tracked it down to the right guy who did it. That is incredible. What's incredible? Just the detective work here. There's a tier 1 pack. And the resub Juke and the Prime Scary Man and the resub Genius and Virgin Shadow. What?
A cult in a boarding school?
Yeah.
Oh?
Yeah, it is pretty wild. What are you doing?
What do you think I'm doing? Just watching One Piece.
Okay, well, have fun.
I'm not even playing any games right now.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, you're in a good arc. You're having fun.
It's a really good arc. It really is.
Thanks to the resub Side Jellyfish.
Hi, chat. I'm seeing all the hellos, but I can't read too much past that because my glasses are not on. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to that.
Okay, well, have fun.
Much to the school's displeasure, these cases successfully gained ample attention. Joe Ritchie resultingly paid off numerous judges and journalists in hopes of drowning out the negative press.
Thanks for prime proximity.
However, outsiders were beginning to catch on that these students were running for a reason.
Quick text message.
But why?
There we go. Okay. All good. Thanks the resub Adventure Creature Mumbling Pot and the Prime
30th,
Ego.
1975, a 15-year-old girl named Martha Moxley was out with her friends participating in what they call Mischief Night. This typically involved TPing houses, ding-dong ditching, typical teenager movies. Later that night, Moxley found a liking to a Thomas Skakel, eventually kissing him before the pair decided to venture off. To the other friends in their group, seeing Moxley fall over the Skakel's backyard fence with Thomas was the very last time that they would ever see her alive. The next morning, the Moxley family awakens as usual. They go about their morning routine, however notice that Martha is missing. Upon searching the house for her, they notice a body lying by the tree out in the backyard.
And
They
don't really
approach
have
it
one stoner boner.
and discover a grim scene. Martha is lying, lifeless with her pants down. Her body appears to have been visibly beaten, and a few feet away from the body, broken remnants of a 6-iron golf club.
Holy
This
shit.
club was eventually traced back to the Skakel family. Autopsy reports claimed that she was bludgeoned and stabbed to death, all by that 6-iron. And since Thomas Skakel was the last person she was spotted with that night, he was the prime suspect in her murder. Due to a lack of sufficient evidence, however, he, among the other suspects, were eventually absolved.
What?
And as a result, the Moxley case, frustratingly, went cold.
Thanks to Tier 1 Rowie and the resub Ryan.
Three years later. Thomas's 18-year-old brother named Michael Skakel is arrested for drunk driving.
What a great
His
family,
punishment?
all around.
Admission to a lawn. While there, Skakel was known to be problematic and outspoken. According to Elan students at the time, he would regularly boast about a girl named Martha and how he sexually assaulted and killed her. One student named Gregory Coleman,
What a weird thing to
recalls
brag
this
about.
vividly, recounting how Michael had gone on record to state that, "I'm going to get away with murder. I'm a Kennedy." The Kennedy reference was alluding to his relation to Robert F. Kennedy,
What?
something that would prove pivotal in
What?
launching his eventual trial to the national spotlight. At the time of his confession, though, nobody could do anything about it. Given the overbearing nature of the rules set at school, any student that tried to tell someone about this was quickly reprimanded. It would take an entire 22 years before Skakel's actions would reach the public eye. In January of 2000, he was arrested and charged with the murder of Martha Moxley, and due to his relation to the Kennedys, it was a case that commanded the airwaves. Since Skakel's primary vehicle of bragging about his crimes was Elan, this, by proxy, had also thrust the school into the national spotlight.
Thanks to resub
Dozens of
Virtue.
students took the stand, exposing the callousness that occurred there. The humiliation, the general meetings, the beatings, the ring, the deaths, all of it was brought into the public eye. Realizing this, Joe Ritchie did everything he possibly could to keep discussion about his operation to a minimum.
He looks like Neil
He
Breen.
eventually took the stand, downplaying any mention of Elan, touting its high success rate, and doing
Thanks for
everything
some
he
doink.
possibly could to divert the attention back to Skakel
And hope you like God
and
Slap Creamy.
Skakel only. But this was only marginally effective, as this was in the 2000s. An interconnected era of information catalyzed by a little something called the internet.
That piece of shit, huh?
Michael Skakel was eventually found guilty of the murder and was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. After serving just 11 years behind bars, he was granted a new trial in 2013, in which he was let go after posting a $1.2 million bond.
Oh, Jesus.
Today, he walks a free man. But Back
Exit Tier
then,
1
the
sarcastic.
cat was
And
out of the
resub
bag.
Phil Swift and
The
Stick.
inhumanities committed at the Elan School were documented in one of the most high-profile cases in decades. And because of this, people began talking, theorizing, and investigating, effectively marking the beginning of the end of Joe Ritchie's iron grip on the hundreds of students that were helpless beneath him.
There's the resub Nathan and the Prime Green Gorilla and Tuga sub sarcastic.
But with his weakening grasp on the media surrounding his operation came a different hurdle that Joe Ritchie would soon have to overcome. In June of 2000, he was diagnosed with lung cancer caused by his well-known addiction to cigarettes. And just 6 months later, on the 29th of January 2001, Joe Ritchie would pass away in Portland, Maine at 54 years old. As a result, his second wife, Sharon Terry, would take over operations at Elan. It was clear, though, that due to the increased publicity among the rising alumni testimonies, the idea of Terry having a lot of PR work on her plate was putting it lightly. Throughout the years, numerous changes would be put in place in response to
Hold on, someone just said something. Skakel is in jail, by the way. His conviction got reinstated in 2016. Thanks to resub Monty, Geo expert in chasing bubbles. Well, this video is brand new, and he said that he's a free man. Let me see. Let's take a peek. I don't see anything about him going back to jail. Yeah, there's nothing about him going back to jail. Literally nothing. It got reinstated, just exonerated in 2020. Not sure, sarcastic. Exit Tier 1 dub nuggets. Check the wiki. Check the what? The fucking Skakel wiki? What are you talking about, man? What wiki? October 30th, 2020. Michael Skakel won't fit. Oh my god. I hate when fucking. I hate modern journalism where you have to turn off ad block. Yeah, I don't see anything about him going back to jail. I see what you're talking about in 2016, though, where they reinstated the murder conviction, but then in 2018, it seems they vacated it.
Outside criticism
Thanks,
of the Elan School.
Mithroon and Granny.
For instance, the ring was eventually forbidden from being used as punishment. And while this was substantially a good thing, the other cruelties would remain. What Sharon Terry was unaware of, though, was that due to the rapid rise in technology, namely the internet, even her reign over Elan would soon meet its demise. When the water settled following the Skakel case, mentions of Elan were made on various forums throughout the next few years. They would get people talking. However, it wasn't quite enough for definite action. By 2010, though, something would change. A website that we all know very well would help spearhead one of the most effective exposed stories in the history of the internet.
I want to take a guess. I don't know the story, but I want to guess. Is it Something Awful? Something Awful used to be pretty powerful. No way, is it Reddit? God damn it.
That website was Reddit.
Son of a bitch!
On November 26, 2010, a man named Jeff W., who went by Gazaz My Hero, would make a post titled, "Even skimming this once will blow your mind. Most probably think it's made up, but you'd be dead wrong." Within it, he explains that he was an Elan student in 1998, before outlining, in detail, the reality of what took place there. They're mostly points that we've already covered and explored in great detail tonight. But back then, these claims were unbelievable. The school was very much still in operation, so some initially had a tough time wrapping their head around the fact that a place like this actually existed. But then came the comments, the other stories from other alumni with their own experiences. Gazaz My Hero's post carried weight. It was real, and these atrocities needed to be
Tier
known.
1 Dewey Nose and 2 gift subs Zuki.
Eventually, this thread would rack up over 2,000 likes and 1.4 thousand comments. While this may not have caused Elan's closure outright, it aggressively reopened old wounds. 2010 was not 2000. The internet user base was exponentially larger than it had been, and resultingly, the effectiveness of this newfound attention caused a massive amount of backlash that the Elan school had never before experienced.
Thanks, 3 sub chimeras.
4 months later. On the 23rd of March 2011, the Elan school announced that it would soon be shutting down. Cher and Terry blamed the call on what they deemed to be libelous remarks made about them online. The school has been the target of harsh and false attacks spread over the internet with the avowed purpose of forcing the school to close. The school, unfortunately, has been unable to survive the damage.
Shucks.
And on the 1st of April 2011, the Elan school would close its doors.
What a great date to close on fucking April Fool's Day.
They blamed it on declining student numbers in hopes of diverting the attention away from the actual cause. But on the outside, everyone knew the real reason. For students, this was unbelievably good news. However, the damage they endured was something that would remain.
Thanks to the Prime fans and Sutrus and the resub, Wilhelm,
It's been reported
Geegan,
that
and
numerous
Cold Dog.
suicides have occurred as a result of attendance at Elan. PTSD with alumni is rampant, and it's clear that the school had done nothing but damage people. A filmmaker and former student named Todd Nilsson, creator of a fantastic Elan documentary named The Last Stop, has gone on record to state that, as a student, he was helped by their unconventional tactics, but he knew the majority of others weren't quite so lucky. Today, hundreds of stories remain online about the cruelty committed at the Elan school, about the facade they upkept for 41 years. Reading through these are eye-opening, and you can find them on nearly every piece of media and documentation that exists about Elan online. To all of you that have shared your stories, that have opened up about the torment you went through, your voice is the reason that Elan ceases to exist today. This video would not exist without you, and I wish I could say that I feel your pain. But I don't.
What's Sharon Terry up to? Let me take a peek. Sharon Terry, what's going on? Wow, since 2011 she has vanished. Holy fuck. Her spirit was trapped in Elan, and when it closed down, she just ceased to exist. Holy fuck. Yeah, I cannot find anything of Sharon Terry after 2011, my god. Well, thanks for the resub. Physics.
In the late 19th century,
Perhaps
the city of
Totem.
London was the largest in the world, a sprawling metropolis and a melting pot for trade, finance, and people. One after another, Destitute women of the
Thanks,
East
Reese
End
Wolf.
fell victim to a vicious killer known as Jack the Ripper. Despite an extensive manhunt and a few close calls, the Ripper was never caught.
Jack the Ripper was in
Instead,
Shanghai
the murders came
Nights.
to an abrupt end.
That's how I learned
and
about
left
him.
behind one of the Constable Thomas Barrett was the first officer on the scene.
Hey, Thomas.
He was soon joined by Dr. Timothy Killeen, who conducted a brief examination. The woman had been stabbed 39 times,
Whoa.
primarily in the chest and abdomen. The district round here is rather rough, and cries of murder are a frequent, if not nightly, occurrence.
It sounds
The
like a
victim was
real
eventually
shithole.
identified as 39-year-old Martha Tabram. Tabram was a mother of two and had separated from her husband many years prior.
Amy
her last known
Schumer.
address was 19 George Street, a common lodging house. Barely 2 hours later, Constable Barrett had spoken to a soldier loitering near the north entrance of George Yard.
Well, this is probably the
soldier
guy.
had told Barrett that he was, quote, waiting for his mate who had gone away with a girl. Even if a soldier had been responsible, no one could deduce a motive. The people of Whitechapel might have been accustomed to crime and violence, but the sheer brutality of this
I remember
attack
when this was on the
as
news.
frightening as it was confounding.
The fuck are you, a time traveler? What?
crime
This
is
was in the
one of most
1800s.
brutal that have occurred for some. Only a week later, things would go from bad to worse.
I remember Jack the Ripper was in the Fate anime. Wasn't who you expected it to be, I'll tell you that much. Leave it to anime to crack the case.
The two of them shared a brief exchange, but Nichols was visibly drunk.
Uh-oh.
When they parted ways around 2:30, Holland saw Nichols staggering eastward along Whitechapel Road.
Man, they really cover a lot of ground.
She was found dead. While the Nichols case ground to a screeching halt, its similarities with the Martha Tabram case had not gone unnoticed. In
Even
both
their
cases,
sketches
the
are
attack
similar.
had been needlessly ferocious.
Give some psycho
About
and
an
some
hour
Park
later,
Spec.
a third-floor tenant of the same address, John Davis, plodded downstairs.
How many
into the
fucking
hall.
Johns live here? Holy
The
shit.
front door was now wide open.
This is already the
but
fourth
the one
John.
in the back was closed.
Give some psycho
About
and
an
some
hour
Park
later,
Spec.
a third-floor tenant of the same address, John Davis, plodded downstairs.
How many
into the
fucking
hall.
Johns live here? Holy
The
shit.
front door was now wide open.
This is already the
but
fourth
the one
John.
in the back was closed. When Davis went to open it, he found the bloodied remains of a woman lying on her back just below the steps. Inspector Joseph Chandler was the first officer on the scene.
Jesus fucking
After a brief
Christ!
inspection, he sent it once for a medic. The body was the officer on Inspector Joseph Chandler was the first officer on the scene.
Jesus fucking
After a brief
Christ!
inspection, he sent it once for a medic. The body was then conveyed to the mortuary, while Inspector Chandler and Dr. Phillips conducted a sweep of the backyard.
But
Most
what
of
does
they
ace
found
pilot
belonged to the
John
tenants of the
Richards think of
building,
this?
But just below the resting place of the
Or
woman's
Prime
feet,
Minister
they found a
John
small
Washington.
piece of cloth. Then there's the testimony of John Richardson. Richardson was the son of one of the tenants in the building. At 4:45, he made a routine checkup on the door to the basement, which had previously suffered a break-in. When he found it secure, he sat down on the backyard steps to trim a piece of leather from his boot. Even though he sat mere centimeters from the murder site, Richardson did not see a body. He was adamant on this point.
Well, yeah, it
He
would have been
not
hard to
have failed
miss.
to notice the deceased if she had been there.
It would have been really, really
To
hard to
muddle
miss
the
that
timeline
somehow.
even further, so presuming that Dr. Phillips did miscalculate and the recollections of Long and Kaddish were off by a few minutes, that would place Chapman's death at around 5:30.
Is that super helpful information in this case, though? I feel like that
By
isn't
this
really going to
point,
help
the
very
dim
much.
light of dawn would have provided the tenants of 29 Hanbury Street an unobstructed view of the murder site, some of whom had even slept with their windows open. In spite of this, the killer managed to evade detection and even made time to arrange the victim's possessions.
Yeah, it's extremely lucky, I guess.
The London police and detective force is probably the stupidest in the world.
What the fuck do you mean? Like, I can't even be mad at the detective force here. This guy fucking murdered a woman in the backyard of like an apartment complex where people were sleeping with their windows open and none of these idiots saw anything? More like London has the dumbest tenants in the world. Like, how do you miss that? And a guy even allegedly heard the body hit the fence and then didn't bother to check. It's absolutely not the police's problem that everyone there is fucking stupid. I don't blame them at all. They've done nothing wrong so far.
While the police were on the
I feel bad for the police.
As one newspaper put it, half an hour in September the 30th, Joseph Lave stepped outside
Jesus,
to get some fresh air.
it's all Joe
He
and
used the
John's.
side entrance
Oh my
leading into
god.
Dutville's yard and lingered for about 10 minutes.
Are we sure his name's Jack the Ripper and not
Moments after
John the
Abel got
Ripper?
back inside, Morris Eagle accessed the building via the same
That's a
entrance.
fucking cool name.
He too, when he looked down to his right, he accessed the building.
Jack the Ripper and not
Moments after
John the
Abel
Ripper?
got back inside, Morris Eagle accessed the building via the same
That's
entrance.
a fucking cool name.
He too, when he looked down to his right, he thought he could discern something in the darkness. Deemshut stepped down from his barrel, and after lighting a match, could see a woman lying on her side against the wall.
How would you not
Without even
immediately
knowing if
see
she was,
that?
quote, drunk or dead, Deemshut rushed inside the club to check on his wife. When he found her safe and sound, he alerted the other members, and a small crowd soon gathered outside.
No light? Is
They
it
could
so
now
it's
see
pitch
that the
black
woman's
there?
throat had been, quote, fearfully cut.
Even in pitch
And that,
black, I
quote,
feel like
a
you'd see
stream
that.
of blood
Like,
was trickling down.
much more obviously.
While a growing crowd of bystanders waited
No
for
moonlight.
authorities
I guess
to
without
arrive,
moonlight,
there
it's
was no
possible.
sign of the Among the many lacerations to the face, Dr. Brown noted that, quote, the lobe and auricle of the right ear was cut obliquely through. Based on their expert opinions, coupled with the testimony of Watkins, the woman had died within minutes of her body being found. Back in Berners
Maybe
Street,
Jack the
Dr.
Ripper was a
Frederick
bunch of
Blackwell and
people.
Dr.
I bet.
George Phillips
I'm sure
had
that's a
reached the same
theory.
conclusion. The woman in
Like it was a
Duckville's
cult.
yard had, about 1:45, Schwartz had been walking down Berners Street. As he came up on Duckville's yard, he witnessed a man throwing a woman to the ground in front of the entrance. The woman had, quote,
he didn't try and help?
3 times, but not very loudly. Schwartz would later identify this woman as Elizabeth Stride. Schwartz did not try to intervene, but opted instead to simply cross the street. That's when he spied a second man on the opposite side, who was lighting a pipe.
Alright,
The man who attacked the
Israel.
woman. Abeline therefore deduced that the man who shouted Lipsky was directing an insult at Schwartz, who was described as having a, quote, strong Jewish appearance. The man with the pipe, meanwhile, may have been an innocent passerby who became frightened along with Schwartz. Whether Abeline's interpretation is correct,
So
it's
they didn't
doubtful
try and help at all? This man
Nevertheless, Schwartz's account is compelling.
straight up
as he
throws the
can
woman
see that
down,
witness
getting ready to
the
murder
moment
her, and they just walk by?
Elizabeth Stride was attacked.
Fucking rough. Thanks, Risa,
Back in
Morthar,
Mitre
Swifty,
Square,
and Trust
a
Cuz.
large crowd of spectators had assembled upon
They
the
could have at
scene,
least started yelling, like,
all driven
ah.
by their morbid
Ooh,
curiosity
ah.
to get a
Don't
glimpse
kill
of the
her.
body. The woman in Mitre Square was identified as 46-year-old Catherine Eddowes. On the night of her death, Eddowes had been out drinking. She got so drunk that around 8:30, she was found lying on the sidewalk in Aldgate High Street, surrounded by a crowd.
Glad you liked it, Nash.
The commotion attracted a few officers, who then escorted Eddowes to a nearby police station. What's so incredibly tragic about the Eddowes case is how narrowly the killer escaped justice. First of all, the only private residence in Mitre Square was occupied by a policeman and his family. They had slept right next to an upper floor window overlooking the murder site.
Jesus.
Second of all, a night watchman and retired policeman had been cleaning a warehouse within earshot
Oh my
of the murder
god.
site. He would routinely hear the footsteps of patrolling officers, yet heard nothing at the time of the murder. Finally, Constable James Harvey had glanced into Mitre Square at roughly 20 minutes to 2. That's right in between the sighting by Lavende and the body's discovery. Harvey should have had an unobstructed view of the murder site, yet he failed to notice anything suspicious.
Yeah, someone said
While
that
killer
the
did
theory is that
ultimately escape,
he was a
they did not
policeman.
do so without leaving a trace.
I would
Shortly
believe
before
that.
3 o'clock,
But I do
a
think it's multiple
blood-stained piece
people.
of cloth was 3 days before the murder of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. The Central News Agency of London received a letter in the post, the author of which claimed responsibility for the recent murders and to be planning for the, quote, next job. On the off chance that the letters were genuine, the police decided to make them public. The hope was that someone would recognize the handwriting. Unfortunately,
That's such
no
a
one ever did.
weird idea.
Instead, it merely
I would
served to
never
advertise
recognize
the name
handwriting.
with which the letters had been signed. The doctors who examined the kidney all agreed that it was human, but whether it was the same left kidney removed from the body of Eddowes could not be determined. It could, for instance, have been an elaborate hoax by a medical student or someone with access to human organs.
It's crazy. Trolls
The author of
existed
the
all the way
accompanying
back
letter
then.
meanwhile it is pretty certain that the master has become frightened and has suspended his horrible work for the present, if not for good.
That's, I don't know about that gloating. Man's calling GG.
Miller's court was soon crawling with police, but the door to room 13 was locked and had to be forced open with a pickaxe. What they found inside was truly the stuff of nightmares. Dr. George Phillips described the body as, quote, cut all to pieces. Dr. Thomas Bond described the woman's face as, quote, hacked beyond recognition. The abdomen had been, quote, emptied of its viscera, while the throat had been, quote, severed all round, down to the bone. The body had been monstrously disfigured, with loose organs dispersed all around it. The room itself was sparsely furnished and offered little in the way of clues. 2 tables, 1 or 2 chairs, and a small cabinet.
But what about the security cameras?
Amongst the ashes of a fire, the victim was identified almost immediately. Her name was Mary Jane Kelly, and she was the tenant of 13 Miller's Court. The 2 of them were supposedly well acquainted, and Kelly had asked if he could spare a few coins. But Hutchinson was broke, and Kelly was desperate for money, so they soon parted ways. Moments later, Hutchinson observed Kelly being accosted by a well-dressed man. The 2 of them had a seemingly jovial interaction and began walking north.
Chasing George.
Hutchinson remained in the vicinity until 3 o'clock, but neither Kelly nor the man reappeared.
So he just sat there for an hour?
Cox returned home. In stark contrast to the loud singing upon her last departure, Cox was now struck by the complete absence of sound and light from Kelly's room. According to Dr. Bond, Kelly died between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. Dr. Phillips placed the time of death a few hours later. But some witnesses were quite adamant that they had seen or even spoken to Kelly as late as 8 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Keep in mind that her body was discovered at 11:15. These contradictions are difficult to reconcile, and the precise time of death eludes us to this day.
Well, how about the people that heard the cries of murder? Why? Can we ask them why they didn't do anything? And what about Hutchinson, who just sat there
Mary Jane
scoping
Kelly
it out?
is typically regarded as the Ripper's final victim. This misguided manhunt is somewhat emblematic of the whole investigation. The police pursued even the most tenuous of leads due to a lack of evidence. And
they should have just hung out at prostitutes' places.
They interviewed thousands, investigated hundreds,
just post up like an
and
officer at the main
theories
prostitute
along the way.
hotspots.
In the words of Inspector Frederick Abeline, theories. We were lost almost in theories. This profile was prepared by Dr. Thomas Bond, and he described the Ripper as a strong, middle-aged man with an inoffensive appearance who dressed respectably. Bond's most controversial
Jesus, who is that one?
was
Peter
that the killer
Pan?
possessed, quote, he likely had some form of employment, as the murders were committed around weekends and public holidays, and he may have had some degree of anatomical knowledge.
I don't think he did.
With this unshakable profile in hand,
I think he's a
let's
fucking
take
idiot.
A closer look at it.
Of course, I still watch slapping.
On the
It's
morning
just
of
there's no new
August
ones
the
yet.
31st,
Like the
Charles
recent TV
Cross
beatdown.
left his home on Doveton Street and headed for work. When he turned into Bucks Row, he happened upon the body of Marianne Nichols. Moments later, he was joined by Robert Paul, and events transpired as previously described. Despite his proximity to the crime, Cross appears to have escaped suspicion from both the press and the police. He was evidently seen as the innocent passerby that he appeared to be, when he was interrupted by the approaching footsteps of Paul. Cross then concealed the murder weapon and portrayed himself as someone who just found the body. The injuries inflicted upon Nichols would be consistent with an interruption, as they were less severe than those of later victims. What's interesting about Cross
That is a good point.
He likely testified under a false name. He claimed to be employed as a carman, and his address was given as 22 Doveton Street. But surviving records show that in 1888, this address was occupied by a man named Charles Lechmere.
Maybe he
was
forgot
also
his last
employed as
name.
a carman.
Executives to begin, Steve.
The most compelling evidence against Lechmere is that his morning commute between home and work roughly coincides with the time and place of the murders.
It's definitely this fucking
Except
guy.
for the murders of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, who
Yeah, but they're
were
not
killed
far.
on Sunday, the only day when Lechmere would have been free from work. Not only that, but all the murders were committed around weekends and public holidays. Why would a man who supposedly timed the murders with his morning commute gravitate towards days of rest? While there is no evidence of Lechmere ever being suspected by the police, it is difficult to believe that he was completely overlooked. Many case files have not survived, so any doubts investigators might have had could have long since disappeared. Now, a witness who definitely attracted attention was Joseph Barnett.
Yeah, but it was Charles Cross. I believe it was Charles Cross. In fact, I know it was. After hearing that, nothing else could convince me otherwise. Until Lamino makes a great case for Joseph Barnett.
Was the man. Barnett was employed as a fish porter, but for reasons unknown, he lost his job between July and August of 1888. From that point onwards, the couple struggled to pay rent, and Kelly resorted back to prostitution. Now, those who believe that Barnett was the Ripper view his loss of employment as a turning point. The argument is that Barnett was so overcome with guilt and anguish for driving Kelly back to prostitution that he went on a murder spree. This might further explain why Kelly was the Ripper's final and most viciously mutilated victim, the implication being that Barnett felt rejected by Kelly and wanted revenge for the breakup. According to Barnett, he did pay Kelly a visit on the evening of November the 8th, but they had parted on, quote, friendly terms. He then supposedly went home, played a card game until 12:30 before going to bed.
Did he play Yu-Gi-Oh?
According to Barnett, the key to room 13 had been missing for some time. Because of this, he and Kelly would, quote, open the door by reaching through the broken window. The door was said to be equipped with a, quote, catch lock, and evidently locked itself upon being closed. If that's true, mystery solved. But even if the door was not self-locking, there's still an obvious solution. All the killer would have had to do is observe Kelly using the window trick and then employ that same technique to fasten the door upon leaving. But those who favor Barnett as the Ripper offer yet another solution. The key never went missing. Instead, Barnett is said to have stolen the key and then used it on the night of the murder. These solutions are all equally valid, and it's impossible to know which one is correct.
Yeah, but it's with Charles Cross.
There is a slight variation of this theory. While it's only natural for suspicion to fall upon witnesses and acquaintances, Victorian detectives did pursue other lines of inquiry. One prominent theory was that the Ripper suffered from insanity, and a prime suspect in that category is Aaron Kosminski.
Who? I haven't heard that name yet. Have we? I don't remember Kosminski.
The Whitechapel murders investigation. Surviving records show that an Aaron Kosminski was admitted to a psychiatric hospital in 1891. Aaron was indeed from Poland, he was Jewish, and had lived in Whitechapel. He suffered from auditory hallucinations and a paranoid fear of being fed by others. Only on rare occasions would he get, quote, excited and violent. However, before his confinement, Aaron had once threatened his sister with a knife. The case against him largely hinges upon the claims made by Anderson, Swanson, and McNaughton, especially the claim that an unnamed witness identified a suspect named Kosminski.
There had to be a witness at some point here.
That suspect
These murders were committed in front of fucking apartments.
With Aaron Kosminski. But in recent years, Aaron Kosminski has been resurrected as a prime suspect due to a controversial DNA analysis. Okay, so back in 1888, acting Sergeant Amos Simpson
they found his old cum sock?
stolen a blood-stained shawl from the crime scene of Catherine Eddowes. This shawl was then passed down from one generation to the next before being submitted for DNA testing in 2011. DNA samples were extracted from the shawl and then compared against maternal descendants of Eddowes and Kosminski.
What?
In both cases, it was a match. If the subsequent news coverage is to be believed, the mystery has now been, quote, definitively solved. Aaron Kosminski was Jack the Ripper. But as you can imagine, it's never quite that simple.
That's fucking
First of
wild.
All, the provenance But in recent years, Aaron Kosminski has been resurrected as a prime suspect due to a controversial DNA analysis. Okay, so back in 1888, acting Sergeant Amos Simpson
they found his old cum sock?
stolen a blood-stained shawl from the crime scene of Catherine Eddowes. This shawl was then passed down from one generation to the next before being submitted for DNA testing in 2011. DNA samples were extracted from the shawl and then compared against maternal descendants of Edos and Kosminski.
What?
In both cases, it was a match. If the subsequent news coverage is to be believed, the mystery has now been, quote, definitively solved. Aaron Kosminski was Jack the Ripper. But as you can imagine, it's never quite that simple.
That's fucking
First of
wild.
all, the provenance, or so to recap, a suspect named Kosminski was identified by an unknown witness. This was enough to convince at least one senior officer of his guilt. That suspect may have been Aaron Kosminski, a man who was largely non-violent but once threatened his sister with a knife. Aaron can neither be incriminated nor eliminated by the DNA evidence. He spent the rest of his life in psychiatric care and died in 1919 at the age of 53.
I still think it's Charles
2
Cross.
days
I really
before the
do.
murder of Mary Jane Kelly,
All that made so much
an
sense
American
for Cross.
physician named Francis Tumblety was arrested in London. He promised to cure anything from dyspepsia and scurvy to cancer and blindness using nothing but medicinal herbs.
Man,
He was not
some
chosen as a
things never
doctor.
change.
Tumblety
There's
was
still
busy
people
running from
just
the law.
like this.
He was either accused or convicted for crimes like theft and assault, attempt to induce a miscarriage, and manslaughter of a patient. He was even implicated in the assassination of US President Abraham Lincoln, but was ultimately cleared of suspicion. Now, upon his death in 1903, Tumblety left behind a quite impressive estate. But among his many valuable possessions were a pair of inexpensive imitation rings.
Oh
Could they
shit.
have been the same rings
What?
taken from the body of Chapman?
That's pretty interesting.
It's possible. It's also impossible to prove.
God damn it. I still think it's Charles
Chief
Cross.
Inspector John Littlechild. Some of the more sensational contenders include famous authors and artists, as well as high-ranking officers.
I better see
and
James
members
Corden
of
on
the
here as a
royal
live
family.
suspect.
But these grand conspiracies and elaborate deceptions seem hopelessly contrived against the sheer simplicity of a suspect like Charles Lechmere, an unassuming delivery man on his way to work.
I really think it's Charles
Personally,
Cross, yeah.
I remain unconvinced
Lechmere.
that Jack the Ripper has even been identified as a suspect. With a suspect pool in the hundreds, that might seem improbable, but London was the largest city in the world, home to the largest port in the world. It was a city of millions, with a large population of poorly documented drifters. It's not difficult to imagine one lowly sailor, butcher, medic, soldier, barber, merchant, porter, clerk, blending into the slums of Whitechapel like a grain of sand.
God, that was good. But we all know it was Charles Lechmere. I think we can all know. The intellectuals will know. Charles Cross, Charles Lechmere are the same person. Charles Cross is the name he went by to testify, instead of his real name, which was Charles Lechmere. James McAvoy's in this game as well. Really? I also know I think her name's Daisy Ridley. I know she's in it. I don't really know anything about this other than it's a point-and-click game, which is one of my least favorite genres. But we'll see if the writing's good enough to keep me hooked. What is this symbol in the middle of the clock? That's the Celtic knot, right? Perhaps this has to deal with the Freemasons, I think. Whoop. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh god, everything's going to shit already.
Let me know when you're in the mood.
Oh god, she's fucking hauling ass. Why is she in such a rush? Fucking body checked me like we were playing hockey. Just collect some spoons. Okay, save that for later. Give me this mug. Were these candles just lit in my pocket the whole time? What a man.
So?
This sucks. What is this? I was right! Let's go! I'm pregnant! Yeah! Let's go! Alright, I quit. I'm out. No, I'm not. Well, I'm not happy. Why? I'm just gonna get up and leave, I think.
I'm with the police. Turn around, please.
Willem Dafoe!
Yes, you. hands behind your back. Let's go. Hold still.
I'm just gonna enjoy my dessert. Good luck. I don't know her. She held me hostage.
Behind your back, please. Don't
No, oh god, fuck. Can I fight? Hit him with the mug. Wait, I still have lit candles in my pocket, I think. No! Oh! Ouch! I regret that.
Jesus Christ.
Ah.
What the hell just happened?
He died in one punch? Holy shit, Willem Dafoe is nuts. Why when I click on the bed do I go outside?
What about the bed?
What about it?
Yeah, nothing.
What the fuck?
Okay. What does he want?
Okay, listen. You distract him and I'll stab him. He's here. No! God, I'm such a pussy. Fuck. I even had the element of surprise. Knife, probably barking up the wrong tree. Get away from me! I'm busy. What if I combine lights off with the knife?
In the next few minutes, a cop is gonna knock on a door.
What are you talking about?
Then I'll have the optimal element of surprise.
Let's see.
Okay, let's get the quick proof out. I just need the cop to show up because I think this plan will work. I think I can just stab him in the dark, maybe. Surely we can't fuck that up.
Ow.
What in the fuck are you doing?
Gotta get this fixed,
You
babe.
crazy lady.
It's gonna get hurt.
Turn that goddamn light off. And you stay in here now.
Seriously?
Shut up. Stay in there. Yes, yes, yes. Come on. Willem? Gotcha. No, he turned on the light!
I have a warrant. What's going on?
How did he know where my light switch was?
Alright, easy.
No. Oh, god. I didn't need to fucking do that.
Now you.
No! What? I did it! Man, how do I stab him and I still get my ass beat? What? What if I take the watch, hide in the closet? No. Because in order to get the watch, I'd have to walk by my wife, and I don't think she'd appreciate if I just watched her get her ass beat while I hide in the closet with the watch. But I'm gonna try it. Maybe she's tougher than she looks. So there are the sleeping pills there. I guess what I can do, I could put the sleeping pills in the mug. Okay, I think I've got a plan. I've got a plan. This is kind of a throwaway run, but I've got a good plan. Let's see what happens when he doesn't have the watch.
So.
Oh, god damn it, you snitch! You ruined it.
This is a mistake. Babe, will you tell me? This is a misunderstanding.
Hey, she's crazy. She's delusional. She doesn't know what she's talking about. I need to set the dinner table, put the sleeping pills in the water mugs. I need to have her take it. Hopefully they're fast acting. If the sleeping pills don't work, maybe I can go get some laxatives and have her shitting her brains out for a couple hours. I just need some time with her not ruining my Damn it! No! What are you doing, you gluttonous harpy? You drank my water! And you're making me fill it! What the fuck is this? I know you're thirsty, so there you go. You can steal that water. Where are you going? You've got to be fucking kidding me. You are an unpredictable deity of chaos. I'm taking both mugs, so that way she only has one option, and it's to drink my drugged water. Oh, I guess I could just give him the watch. I didn't even consider that. I don't negotiate with terrorists, babe. I have the watch. I still get strangled anyway.
I don't even know what you're looking
Oh, I went out of order. No, wait, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Babe? 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 Yes? Go for the water. Go for the water. Game time. Sweet dreams, idiot. Dropping a big stinky in here, babe. Don't come in. You won't like what you find. Oh, it's weird that you're tired. No, it's probably that weird pregnancy thing going on. Tell them your wife is a murderer. Okay, obviously this one's not gonna work. This one probably would, but I think this is probably the right call, because if I say my wife is unconscious, they'll probably send someone right away, and I won't need to explain that much, which means I'll be able to get off the phone in time before Willem Dafoe gets to the door with this huge cock.
I drugged my wife, and she's not waking up.
Oh.
Sir, what did you give her?
Wait, this is kind of stupid, though, because I called the ambulance over here. This is literally the call an ambulance, but not for me meme. Because I'm going to jump out of here and stab him, and then the ambulance will arrive and arrest me. Oh, what the fuck? That's the first time I've been shot.
Jesus fuck.
I really feel like flushing this down the toilet might not be the right call. But I'm doing it anyway just because I like the idea of it. I really think what I could do, and I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to try it if this one fails. I feel like once he comes in and opens the bathroom door, if I just set the watch in the toilet, he'll take it and leave. Or on the sink, he'll take it and leave. Oh, wait. What if I leave the dessert on the table? Maybe he'll get hungry. And he'll eat it. This is a bold play, but he might be hungry. And that'll stall. I'll even leave him a spoon. Hopefully no one breaks in and eats my sorbet. Oh, what if I drug myself? What if I chug sleeping pills and, like, overdose next to my wife? I don't know, that's probably a little much. I don't know if my birthday present dessert play is gonna work, but I hope to see that it does. He's like, oh my god. Well, let's see what's in this present. Oh, and some dessert. Don't mind if I do. Just like Santa Claus. Just eating my dessert. He didn't eat the dessert. Nor did he open the birthday present. Okay. It was a risk. No, I knew that going in. I knew that was going to be a risk. You'll have to catch me! Run! Run!
I'm out of patience.
Fuck. Wait! Check the dessert! I hid it in there! Damn it! Okay, so I can't stall enough.
What the?
Oh! It worked! Now stab him! Get on top of him! Kill him! Let's go. We got it. We did it. We got him. Cut his fucking dick off. Kill him. Carve him up. Okay. Alright. Oh no. Oh Jesus. Oh, what the fuck? Well then why does he kill? If he just needs the money. Because he gets the watch and then kills them anyway. So what is the point of that? It's hard to feel sympathy when he does kill for no reason. I have an idea. Let's just see what happens. The cops are going to be here pretty soon.
What?
Oh.
Wait, but... Oh, god damn it.
Cops never come. Got it. God. It'd be nice if I didn't have to drug my wife. If she could just talk to him. Oh, maybe when he's handcuffed and shot in the leg, I can give him my dessert. Help cool down his emotions. Which one's an easier pill to swallow? That I killed her dad or that I'm her brother? I mean, the stepsis thing's pretty big right now, so stepbro stuff like that is probably okay.
Your nanny, from your father's affair.
What about her?
Her name is Dahlia. She was my mother.
But...
Your dad found me after your mother passed. It's me. I'm your brother.
What the fuck are you saying?
Babe, there's more. It was me. I'm the man that killed your father.
Damn, we're really coming on hard.
It's not a... Look, his office is filled with books, all the way up to the ceiling. I never forgot how weird that all looked.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked, right? It is your fault. You fucked up. You know, it's not really my fault. I didn't know. Well, that's not true. I did know. So, that dessert. Is now a good time for that? Let's see. Do I have that option anymore, I wonder?
We are not talking.
Okay, well, more for me, I guess. It'd be a real shame to have this wonderful pastry go to waste. I'd have to be a real selfish asshole not to eat one of these bad boys. I'll just go ahead and set it here. You know, in case, you know, some animal wanders in, maybe a little hungry. Oh, it is sure great. Oh, wow, this is so good. I feel bad for anyone that's not eating one of these. Mmm. Yum, yum, yum. Damn, she's not biting. You certainly wouldn't be crying if you were having one of these delicious treats. Just think it over. We got time. In fact, if you don't mind, could you fill up one of those mugs with water, please? Oh, I've got an idea. I know something that'll lift the mood. Hold on, honey. I know this was originally a surprise for me, but I think now's about the best time to bring this out. Can't talk right now. I'm stuffing my face. Mouth full. It's not polite to talk with the mouth full. No, it's just so good.
What are you waiting for?
It's just so good.
Well.
Alright, okay. What do you think would be cooler to this guy? That my wife is my sister, or that I killed her dad? I say we really lay it on.
I'm the monster. Stephanie's wife. What her mother told me when she found out that I existed.
Jesus. You killed your father and married your sister.
Not only that, but I'm eating her dessert right now.
We'll deal with that later. There's a watch. I want the watch. Do you have it?
Yeah, you can fuck it. I don't care. You think I give a fuck about the watch right now?
We'll give you the watch. We won't tell anybody. No one has to die.
Okay, hand it over.
Well, I don't have it with me. Let me just grab it. Yeah, it'll just be...
Nice try.
No! No! Please!
Fuck you! Oh.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
We are not talking.
Surely there's a way that I can wait it out without just sitting here eating dessert the whole time, right? Or I guess I can just eat dessert the whole time. Fuck it, I don't know. This time I'm only setting a plate for one, because fuck you. Any minute now, he'll be here. And god damn it, he's gonna be jealous of this dessert. You're really missing out. I'll put on your favorite song, babe. That should help calm things down. There we go. Much better.
Please, just listen to what my husband has to say.
Alright. Alright, here.
What are you waiting for?
I'm trying to fucking finish my meal. Yes. Don't be so impatient. Alright. So let's lay it on right away. I killed her dad.
I'm the one that killed the old man.
I steamed his ham.
The last words he was saying before monster.
Okay, we did this.
When she found
Jesus, you killed your father and married your sister.
Fuck yeah, fist bump. Okay, it's my fault.
This is all on me.
Remember, if I found you once, I can find you again. And you don't want to see me again.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, have a great night.
What just happened?
I don't know.
I need you to
No, I can't. That's gonna reset the loop.
get out of here.
Don't fucking tell.
Get the fuck out.
Wait, let's just talk.
Monster.
Let's just talk about this.
Babe?
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 You hear
Babe?
me?
Babe?
Get
Babe?
out of my apartment. I
Babe?
never want to see you again.
Babe?
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 Babe? Babe? Babe?
Oh, I can stay? Oh, fuck yeah. Alright, yeah, you sleep on it. I'll just finish my meal, I guess. Remember this? We were so happy minutes ago.
Fuck you. I never want to see you again.
Babe?
God damn it, I'm babe locked again.
Fucking enough.
Babe?
It's getting so fucking late too. I'm right at the end, I know it. There's nowhere left for this game to go, but I cannot fucking get the little last bit. The last tiddlywink here. I don't know what I haven't even, like, there's nothing left. Everything is wrapped up. The only thing I haven't used is the knife. I guess that's like an option for the end. I could kill her, would be my guess. Or kill both of them, is my guess. But I don't think that's like the only ending. And it's definitely not the one I would want. What do you mean inspect the watch? I've used the watch a million fucking times in the beginning of the game. There's nothing useful on it. Unless there is now.
Make a noise.
That's super dumb. That's super fucking dumb. That's so fucking dumb. There was literally no indication to do that.
This isn't how I wanted to tell you.
Just stare at the
You
watch?
deserve both. Say something. Say something.
Incest
Wanna know my
is
answer?
cool. Let's go.
Yes, I do.
I don't care. I love her no matter what.
You just won't listen. Stupid.
Sir?
Look.
So just inspecting the watch every time, I guess.
But we need to be on the same page. These feelings.
Let me out. Let me the fuck out.
Look.
Yeah, alright. Yeah, I guess there is a world where I leave and where she doesn't get to know why.
There is. And I know. I know it's hard. Thank you for understanding. Let's do this way.
Of course, of course.
This whole
Thanks to the resub quality.
mistakes. But for what it's worth, I'm glad you turned out so well.
There we go. Much better. Christ. This is what introduced me to Twitch, watching Siglimic run this game. Got Mario 64 speedrun. I love cheating. I love this kind of shit. Let's see. I have not heard of this before.
Despite the immense popularity of Super
Jesus,
Mario
what is that? A
64 speedruns,
fucking soiled
there's a
diaper on his
comparatively
face?
Small amount of people running the blindfolded categories, a testament to how difficult
Or like a
blindfolded
heating
speedrunning
pad?
really is. And so it was surprising when I was on Twitch this week and was notified of another runner doing blindfolded 16-star runs. Blindfolded runs of Super Mario 64 have recently been made popular by a small but extremely dedicated group of runners. However, there are clear differences
such a cool
between the runs that
category.
those already established players have done and the runs that this particular person has completed. The main difference, of course, being that this particular runner is creating fake runs and
Thanks to
attempting
Prime,
to pass them off
Mobot.
as real. I have here a video of one of these runs, and I aim to show some of the clear discrepancies between this run and the genuine blindfolded runs of SM64 that are out there. When watching this run, it's important to note that the author claims not to have practiced blindfolded speedrunning much at all, and
Is
that
it 5
this is
subs
apparently
chillin'?
only his third
Thank
blindfolded
you.
run. He claims to make up for this with the fact that he's been playing Super Mario 64 for the past 3.5 years. However, it should be noted that despite the amount of time he has spent on the game, the best time on a run he has currently submitted is an 1826.
Ew.
A relatively mid-level time for 16-star. The
Pathetic.
thing that actually put me off when I was watching this run was the fact that the streamer had both follow alerts and text-to-speech alerts on. If you've ever seen a blindfolded speedrun before, you will know that runners pretty much always have these kind of sound alerts turned off. Considering how important sound cues are when you literally can't see, you would think that he would do the same. However, this guy
That's a
is
good
so
point. I
good,
didn't even
he
think of that.
apparently doesn't even need clear sound cues to do the run. Throughout this run, he also attempts multiple times to explain the strategies that he's been using.
Thanks to Resub
Except there are
Disco and
multiple
OG
problems
San.
with what he's saying versus the things he's actually
No, I
doing.
don't know what that is, Rip.
He mainly claims to be using a combination of sound cues and muscle memory for most of his strats. Most speedrunners know, however, that visual cues in particular are just as important as muscle memory in many cases. It's very unrealistic to assume that anyone could just casually do a blindfolded run off of visual muscle memory alone, no matter how long that person has been playing.
I've tried to do stars. I can't do 1 star blindfolded. Like, even though I've played this game for years and years and years, even trying to do 1 star blindfolded
No, I haven't seen this.
insanely difficult.
Blindfolded speedruns often employ what are called normalized strategies. A normalized strategy is any strat that is done in such a way that the outcome is always exactly the same. In Super Mario 64, many of these kinds of strategies can be employed. For example, moving in a cardinal direction on the
Spider
controller
Guy and
with notches,
Jadenator.
using 2 slow walks to ledge grab at the corner of a platform, or punching
I
against the
honestly
walls
thought
with
this
Mario
guy was the cheater because this thing looks so over the top. Straight up just looked like, it looks like Among Us. Like, this shit is crazy. I thought that this was some kind of elaborate scam, but I'm guessing this is a legitimate runner. What is he wearing? Can someone, like, it's not a blindfold. This is like a whole goddamn, like, face sauna thing. Some, like, actual Daft Punk shit. It's a towel? How's that a towel? It's like karate safety gear that SpongeBob wore. Hats off to him though, like this, it looks fucking crazy, like this is hardcore.
With a fixed distance are all normalized strats. As you can imagine, these kinds of strats are often completely different from the ones
He's a tier
you'd
1
see in normal
age, and they
runs,
give some
and
Rallo
require
and resub
hundreds of
Connor.
hours to properly learn. And
Oh,
yet
sweet.
this person
Thanks,
is
Ahmed.
claiming to have a 33-minute time after openly admitting to having little to no preparation. Keep that in mind when you look at the so-called blindfolded strats that are claimed to be employed here. The run begins in Bob-omb Battlefield with Behind the Chain Chomp's Gate. Looking at a legitimate example by Bubsia, you can see that a consistent setup with clear intention is being used in order to get onto the Chain Chomp's pole. Note the use of a notched angle.
Turns out
and fixed
everyone's
camera in
cheating.
order to guarantee
They're all
direct
just trying
contact
to
of the pole from
pretend
the
the
corner of
best they
gate.
can.
Comparatively, this runner seemed to have absolutely no normalized setup whatsoever. He takes what looks like either an intentional death or a legitimate mistake, and then tries again a second time. This time around, he seems to be using an almost completely different, yet still unnormalized setup to get onto the pole. The unexpected hit that he takes here from the Chain Chomp should have immediately thrown him off, and yet he is somehow still able to turn around and recover. The runner seems to be using intentional mistakes along with fake setups to try to sell the idea that he is actually blindfolded. Many more of these will come up throughout the run.
Thanks to Resub Mastodon,
The run is already
Fluffy
off to a
Llama,
suspicious start.
Alex God
However,
Gaming,
the
and
first
Zelox.
absolutely massive red flag appears in Womp's Fortress when the runner decides to opt for Owlless, a strat usually reserved for sighted runs. It should be noted how much the runner is talking during this very input-heavy and spacing-dependent section. Again,
What a
anyone who has watched
Chad!
a real blindfolded speedrun before knows how quiet runners tend to be during difficult sections. With how much focus and skill are required to complete a blindfolded run, it's an anomaly that this runner with barely any practice is so casually able to do a strat that no other blindfolded runner has attempted.
Well, he's
And
just
yet
the
with
god
absolutely
gamer.
No normalized strats, he seems to do everything with some relative ease. Looking at a run that this same runner has done without a blindfold, you can actually see that he can do the exact same movements, blindfold or not. His muscle memory must really be that good. On his first attempt, he is able to triple jump wall kick up to the floating island without giving himself any sort of indication where he is. With absolutely no normalization, he's able to attempt and
He's
fail
got his
Owlless
gaming
3 times before
Sharingan
finally
on.
landing it a 4th time. He even comments on the fact that he should probably learn how to use the owl blindfolded.
Maybe I should learn how to just ride the owl blindfolded.
It's anyone's guess why he didn't opt to learn this much more consistent strat in the first place. In the next star, he goes for the traditional cannon
Is there
setup
some
that you would
random
normally
guy?
see in most sighted runs. Once again, looking at a blindfolded version of this strat, there is a clear intention with every input using normalized movements and guaranteed setups. Looking back
God,
at
the
this run,
blindfolded
however,
run is
the movement
crazy.
across the falling bridge and over to the piranha plant is extremely wobbly and very inconsistent. He then lines up next to the plank using these extremely small adjustments that have no audio cues whatsoever. Anyone that runs this game or has even tried this trick before knows that it's
Yeah, this is
ridiculous.
super fake.
The
Oh my
only possible
god.
way anyone could do it
He didn't even
blindfolded,
try.
The movement used here would be if they weren't actually blindfolded at all, and were instead using a distinctly visual cue. The run only gets more and more suspicious from this point onward. Following a couple more extremely wonky and unnormalized setups in Cool Cool Mountain, we reach Bowser in the Dark World, the first Bowser stage. Here, only a true gamer such as this man would be able to somehow sidestep this Goomba, quickly make his way up the path, and then do this long jump to the next red, all completely blindfolded and with absolutely no setup necessary. Simply amazing.
What was the point though? Like, surely he didn't think that.
He then pushes a Goomba that he claims he heard, even though there is no good
He
way
smelt
of
it.
gauging distance that precise with sound cues.
No, he's got a super sniffer. He's like Scooby-Doo.
Faster and safer to just keep walking forward anyway.
There's no way he'd think that he'd
Notice
fool the
then
whole
the small
community that
adjustment he
actively
makes in
runs
order to
this
be
game,
lined up
though.
with the final
Blindfolded.
slope. Anyone who is actually blindfolded here would have almost certainly
what's the
kept
point?
holding right with no adjustment. And yet this man somehow knew he was just a little too far down, despite having absolutely no real setup beforehand. If none of this was suspicious enough, then next we have the first Bowser throw. Looking at legitimate runs by Katoon and Bubsy,
Exit
you
resub,
can see that a
maxi
setup is
pad,
being used to slowly move
Blade,
Bowser into
finishing
the bomb without
touches,
even
and
throwing
Rex
him.
Lord.
For a faster strat, you can also toss him a little earlier with a slower spin, which provides a much larger frame window than normal to make the throw. It should be noted that there is a combination of pause buffering and a sound cue. When Mario is spinning Bowser, a distinctive whoosh noise will play. This noise will always play whenever Bowser faces north, regardless of the camera angle or Bowser's orientation.
Thank you, Sky Shark. Well, I hope you're doing well.
Furthermore,
thank you for the kind words.
whoosh will make a slightly different sound depending on what frame you pause on.
Super Mario 64 speedrunning is down to an incredible science.
This is the strategy that Nobori implements, and it's how he's able to consistently pause buffer a B press to throw Bowser into the bomb. However, it seems like this runner couldn't be bothered to learn any of these strats. He instead opts to throw Bowser in the conventional way, while claiming to also be using a sound cue. Notice, however, that he also opts to turn his camera towards the bomb. As explained, turning the camera during spins does not affect the timing of any audio cues, and so it would be pointless to do this if the runner was truly blindfolded.
Exit
It's
gives
pretty
sub
obvious
Catholic,
here that
and
he's just
resub
turning
Buffles,
the camera so he can visually
Searock,
see what
and
to
Atlas.
throw. Moving on to basement, we see another series of extremely suspicious and inconsistent setups. In Shifting Sandland, he is somehow able to get the Talon Star using a strategy only viable for visual runs. The
Until
amount of adjustment
now.
needed to long jump to the Fly Guy and twirl over to Klepto is simply too precise to be done consistently in a blindfolded run.
More
That
like
doesn't
to be
stop
done
this
at
guy.
all.
He's able to do it first try with no issues. In Hazy Maze Cave, however, he reverts back to setups that might pass as blindfolded to try to further sell the idea that he cannot see. However, the
Exit
quote-unquote
Goggin,
setups he is
Redurculous,
using
and
make
Gary.
absolutely no sense.
And Atlas.
On the emergency exit star, he seems to have created some kind of fake counting system.
Is Boomy
involving
interested?
more
I was actually
normalized
watching some of Boomy's content the other day when someone mentioned it.
Compare this again to Nobori's strat, which uses normalized movements along with the game's fixed camera option for even more consistent angles. Up to this point, the run has been extremely suspect at best. However, what happens in the second half
As you
absolutely
surprise.
destroys what little credibility it had in the first place. The last half of this run is so blatantly fake that it makes the previous 20
Well,
minutes
thank you,
look
Price.
completely legit by comparison.
Yes. Oh, come on, let's go.
Yeah, let's
We now
fucking
come to the next
go!
part. In my opinion, one of the most impressive sections of Blindfolded 16-star. Successfully doing Mips Clip in a real blindfolded speedrun requires an extremely precise setup involving walking into a corner with the correct camera angle, and then repeatedly re-grabbing Mips to achieve the correct spacing on the door. This is one of the most difficult and precise sections in the entire run. In the castle basement, even the
Damn.
tiniest mistap to the left or right can mess up your camera entirely, breaking any setup you may have had. This runner, however, throws all of that out the window. To clip through the basement door, he basically just runs straight at it and ends up in the right spot. No setup needed. Remember that there are absolutely zero sound cues here. There is absolutely no way he can know how close or far away he is from the door, because he is using literally no setup.
No, he's
The exact same is true for
he's
his
smelling the
fingers
game,
door.
baby.
Once again, with absolutely no discernible audio cues and no real setup whatsoever, he somehow either knows exactly where he is on the door, or just gets lucky enough to clip through it after randomly guessing. He spends around 30 seconds here walking back and forth along the door, and somehow is able to find the exact right spot to make it through. Somehow it still gets worse after this. At this point,
I'm
pretty much
I'm
knows
actually
the rest of
convinced
the
that he's
game
doing it
without
for
thinking
real.
about what a
That he
real
is
blindfolded run
blindfolded.
should look like. It
I
really
think
looks
I'm
like
just
he's
seeing an
given
ultimate
up on
gamer.
trying to sell the illusion any further. He approaches the submarine in Dire Dire Docks from a seemingly random angle, and then tries to make it look like he knows where he is by jumping at it.
I slid off something. Fuck, am I at the submarine? Yes, okay.
The fact that he even says this is strange to me. There's literally nothing else in this level
Overacting a little bit.
besides the sub. So it doesn't
Fuck,
really
am I
make any
playing
sense
Super
to act
Mario?
as if he had to figure out what he was
Jeez,
trying
okay,
to
well,
do.
this is good. This is good
He
for
needed
us.
to make it look like he had some kind of cue to go off of, and then did the absolute bare minimum to try to make it convincing. He then approaches the back of the sub as you would in a normal speedrun, but he ends up under the fin, causing the camera to go in an awkward direction. It should be painfully obvious how bad this looks. A real blindfolded runner would be completely disoriented in this situation, and there is no consistent way you could realistically recover from this. Despite this, he is somehow able to leap back around at the perfect angle and lands back on the fin.
It's his gamer
Once again,
senses.
with absolutely zero sound cues or any setup. Nothing suspicious to see here. And then there's Fire Sea.
There's three some Dapper Noodle, Snowhound, Diaper Time, and Brutal Meat. Well, this has always just been an easy level, though. I could do this blindfolded, and I haven't played this game in 8 years now.
So after some
It's
more
easy.
fake strats in Fire Sea,
That's some pussy
one
shit.
fake Bowser throw setup, and some suspicious BLJ lineups, we finally come to what manages to be the worst part of the run by far. This run's Bowser in the Sky is pure gold. It contains such a large amount of glaring flaws and inconsistencies that it's insane that anyone could look at it and believe that the person playing could not actually see. He immediately starts the course with, again, completely unnormalized strats, moving through the course with small adjustments that have seemingly no explanation. He then commits what is possibly the most obvious and completely shameless move in the entire run.
I don't know how he tops some of the other shit, to be honest.
Fuck, I didn't get that extra life.
I was laughing my ass off when I first saw this. Not only does he somehow know exactly
What a
where the
man!
box is, but he also knows exactly what direction the 1-up will go in once it spawns, something completely determined by RNG. Then after... Not only does he somehow know exactly
What a
where the
man!
box is, completely shameless move in the entire run.
I don't know how he tops some of the other shit, to be honest.
Fuck, I didn't get that extra life.
I was laughing.
Fuck, I didn't get that extra life.
I was laughing my ass off when I first saw this. Not only does he somehow know exactly
What a
where the
man!
box is, but he also knows exactly what direction the 1-up will go in once it spawns, something completely determined by RNG. Then, after chasing it on a moving platform for a completely arbitrary amount of time,
I'm sure there's a reasonable
someone knows
explanation.
exactly when and where to jump to the left. You don't even need to know anything about Super Mario 64 or blindfolded speedrunning to understand that what just happened is completely bullshit. Immediately after skipping the first 1-up, he messes around on the first rotating elevator, grabbing the next 1-up in the process.
Yes, okay.
All clearly...
His acting's not even good, though. Like, why not
After
really
this,
sell it?
He once again makes an intentional mistake.
Like, oh my fucking god, it's an extra life!
Blindfolded.
Whee! Go wild.
I fell off.
He just goes from overacting to
This
underacting.
is somehow the first and only time in this 40-minute run that he accidentally runs off of a platform. Except immediately after falling off, he somehow also knows to pull back to the right so he doesn't fall all the way down. Only then does he comment that he knows he's fallen down, again with absolutely no discernible sound cues. Following this, he traverses the wooden platforms and tries to go for yet another 1-up.
This man's addicted to 1-ups.
He clearly saw this 1-up with his eyes, but then remembered he was supposed to be blindfolded. So he passes it off by acting like he knew there should be a 1-up there and goes back to grab it. Again, no doesn't fall all the way down. Only then does he comment that he knows he's fallen down, again with absolutely no discernible sound cues. Following this, he traverses the wooden platforms and tries to go for yet another 1-up.
This man's addicted to 1-ups.
He clearly saw this 1-up with his eyes, but then remembered he was supposed to be blindfolded. So he passes it off by acting like he knew there should be a 1-up there and goes back to grab it. Again, no setup whatsoever.
Got it.
Watch now as he somehow knows exactly where he is on the spinning platform and knows exactly where the first pole is. Again, anyone who is actually blindfolded here would have probably just kept holding left and run off. However, this guy is able to make a completely random amount of adjustments to make it onto the pole. He then makes his
Let's do
way
some
to the
hyper
next
shot,
pole
Justin,
and
and
grabs the red,
unsweetened,
which he seems to
and
be
give some
using as an audio
chocobo.
cue.
Okay, I know what pole I'm at.
Then, immediately after jumping off of the pole that he knows he was just on, he attempts to use 2 bob-ombs on the next platform to further determine his position.
There should be, like, some bombs up. Yes, okay.
This is absolutely pointless, as he had already just verified where he was. All he had to do here was hold forward and he would have reached the next wall. At this point, he once again reiterates the fact that this is only his 3rd blindfolded run ever.
Wow, he's a prodigy.
This is your second blindfolded run, isn't it?
Technically this is my 3rd.
And to be fair,
First one I did was like,
while he can see, it is still blindfolded. There is a blindfold there. It
In
just
the
doesn't
last
work.
4 minutes alone, there have been countless points of extreme suspicion. From the moment he enters the stage to the moment he enters the final pipe, there is almost nothing that could be considered even remotely legitimate. However, the final Bowser throws that he does in the next 4 minutes are somehow even worse. He begins by grabbing Bowser using the normal
Is he
visual
tier 1
approach.
Xerxes and the
Running
resub
around
Archer
Bowser with a
and
tight
Prime
enough circle
Frazier?
to grab him is something that heavily relies on visual cues to properly do. This is why in a real blindfolded run, a setup is used for the first two grabs that involve luring Bowser to a bomb from the edge of the platform.
God, it's such a cool
For the
strat.
final throw, a separate normalized setup is used. And yet, after only one miss, this person is able to grab Bowser in the normal way, no problem. Note that after this first mistake, he does not miss a single tail grab for the rest of the fight. He then winds up for the first throw and misses. Once the throw is missed, Bowser will jump back onto the stage differently depending on where he fell off. There isn't a very good way to account for this, so the only real backup is to run off and try again from the beginning. But this guy doesn't do that. He instead goes for a re-grab and gets it, again with no setup and no sound cues. He hits the throw on his second try, again using the normal visual.
This man's a hero! Let's go!
During his second throw, he stops and talks for about 30 seconds.
Maybe he's like the
to explain how he
Daredevil.
first learned to speedrun
He,
blindfolded.
like, he's like a superhuman who can do things blind.
The viewer is asking.
Actually, not a lot. I feel like if I practiced more, I'd be a lot better at it. Most of this is just muscle memory and listening to the audio cues. But I've been speedrunning and playing Mario 64 for 3.5 years solid.
That's nothing. That's nothing.
So like I could, and well, during streams I would like, because I knew before I did my first blind
Holy fuck, James, you're good at blindfolded. Oh, that poor guy. No. I guarantee he bought some Shungite.
He is once again constantly talking during a section that should take an extreme amount of focus to execute, and yet he still figures out exactly when he needs to throw Bowser.
Oh, fuck yeah.
After messing around for another minute, he then gets another re-grab, once again with no setup or any possible audio cues. During the final throw, he turns the camera not once, but twice to visually aim at two separate bombs. He then goes on yet another explanation about how he's able to do Bowser throws.
23 sub Yuki, Krusty Schlong, Holding It Down, Supernatural Peen, Riddler, and Permafried, and Tier 1 Much
The reason why
Feels.
it's taken me so long to throw him is because I'm trying to time it based on like where my thumb is
Oh.
on the controller.
No, now it makes sense.
Because that's typically like a right around where Mario is like
Right.
the direction that he's gonna throw. So I
Usually.
need to be like, if I think the bomb is where I think it is, if the bomb is where
Mhm.
I think it is, and I'm looking at it,
Then we're golden.
Obviously, none of
Then
this
we're
makes
in.
sense in the first place, but he is directly.
Were you
trying to
listening to the
execute Bowser.
explanation?
Here he
He
says
feels the
something vague
chakra
about using
vibrations
where
in the
his thumb
air.
is on the stick to know where Bowser is, which already makes no sense on its own. Except he also mentioned in his first Bowser throw that he was using sound cues.
Bowser is a little bit tricky. The sound cues on this is actually kind of hard.
Thanks to give sub Fluffy and Corso, and the Prime Baner.
This whole time, he's just been giving fake
No, I don't know
technical
what that is.
explanations to try to
Marinami.
convince his viewers that he actually knows what he's
Multi-billion-dollar
doing.
scam.
Except he also misses this throw because he was too far away to ever hit the bomb in the first place, something he probably should have known whether he could actually see or not. Maybe he's only pretending to be blindfolded so he can hide the fact that he sucks at Bowser throws.
Oh, let's not get personal here. Okay? Come on now. Let's be professional about this.
He eventually does land the last throw, luckily avoiding all the fire.
Unbelievable.
And barely avoiding
Besmirching this good man's
nothing but
name.
pure skill and game sense. After the run is over, he is challenged multiple times by one of the only doubters in his chat. He is asked to verify that he can actually do blindfolded Bowser throws, but refuses to do even the simplest test to prove it.
So would you be opposed to doing Bowser in the sky and throws while turned around with a blanket over my head?
Yeah, that's reasonable. Say yes.
$50 if I do it turned around with a blanket over my head?
I'll give you 500. Start a bidding war. Don't cry. Say yes. Yeah. Let's get hungry. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Fuck.
Despite the glaring flaws in this person's gameplay, he has somehow been able to convince all but a few of his viewers that his blindfolded runs are legit. Messages in his Twitch and Facebook gaming chats show that most of the people watching him are completely convinced that what they're seeing is real. The best I can possibly assume in this situation is that he may actually be doing some of these parts at least partially blindfolded, only peeking through the blindfold whenever he's completely lost or doesn't know what to do. It's either that or the blindfold is just completely see-through, and his only goal during the run is to make it look like he can't actually see.
I think that's exactly what it is.
I almost thought this run was a joke, but it's...
So, before we get to the conclusion and his apology, I am going to speculate he can see the whole time and just does his best to act like it's blindfolded, but he doesn't know like how to ride that line. So he's either extremely overacting or underacting. It's never like good acting. It's just a poor performance all around. I was in the Hunger Games. I don't like to bring that up too often, but with my acting expertise, I can always pick apart acting, whether it's good or bad. So I just have to make that clear. And his explanation of Bowser with his thumb on the control stick correlating to where Mario is in the Nether Realm, the Shadow Realm, whatever. There's some real merit to that, though, I think.
Clear from the way he's talking about his gameplay that he's completely serious. I can only speculate on this person's motives for faking these runs, but my best guess is that he's doing it for either the money or the views. It should be noted that during the run, the only way to communicate with him was to donate bits to play a text-to-speech message on stream. Considering the run is fake, this just seems like a scummy way for him to take money from people, but honestly, for only 1 bit per message, it doesn't really seem that bad. If the amount was any higher, I would probably have a much bigger problem with it, but whatever small amount of money he did collect is probably the least of our worries here. There hasn't been a notable cheating incident in the Mario 64 community for a few years now, so I guess we were about due for another one. By faking this run, this person has not only made a complete mockery of blindfolded speedrunning, but has also detracted from the hard work of people who have actually put in the insane amount of time needed to do this for real. This particular run ended with a 42-minute time, however he claims to have completed a faster time of 33:23, a time which would be considered second place on the current leaderboards. When asked if he will submit the time, however, he claimed that he wants to take first place before he makes any submissions. I trust, however, that the mods of the category are smart enough to see that any run he submits will be clearly invalid. Though I wouldn't be surprised if he never even submits a run, because he probably knows that it would never get verified anyway.
He's a prime codec.
If you happen to see this guy on Twitch or anywhere else, please just don't interact with him. I've intentionally left his name out of this video, 1, because I don't wish for anyone to harass him over this,
That's
and
good.
2, because I don't believe that any cheater deserves attention past simply being exposed. I want to give a big shout out to both Katoon and Bubzia for their incredible help on this video. They helped to clarify a lot of questions I had about blindfolded Mario 64, and this video would not have been as comprehensive without their inputs. Also thanks to both them and Nabori for allowing me to use their footage for comparisons. I've left links to all of their streams.
Holy shit, did you see that? There's like 15 blindfolds on him.
Also thanks to both them and Nabori.
It was a towel, a blindfold, a blindfold.
I've left links to all of their streams
all together.
and YouTube channels in the description. Please check all 3 of them out if you want to see some legitimate blindfolded runs of Mario 64, as well as many other games. These people have genuinely put in the insane amount of time and focus needed to successfully complete these runs for real. They're the ones who truly deserve it. If you please, you can also subscribe to this channel and check me out over on Twitch. My runs aren't quite as cool as these guys yet, but we'll still have some fun.
I kind of want to learn Super Mario speedrunning, to be honest. I tried back in 2012, watching Siglimic. It's hard. But it looks so fun. That was a great video. So, you said the guy apologized? Okay, so I'm guessing it's this one. That is the... I don't want to just keep pausing it, but a PSA to anyone. Never start an apology video like that. That is the most cliche shit ever. I'm surprised he doesn't have a dog on his lap. Rough. The sigh. If he follows it up by saying, I didn't want to have to make this video, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
Hello.
Alright, cool. We're good.
By now, I'm sure you've all have seen this video. And I just wanted to shed some light on that video. On what is going on. explain my side of this situation.
Thanks for some Ryan and too much sauce.
What you
and
watched
Zap.
was an edited version, obviously.
True Wicked.
My
Resub Ribbit.
blindfolded speed run. That was on Twitch. Now, what you may not know is that speed run was purposely fake.
Oh, fuck yeah. Let's go.
The video is 100% correct by saying that it is
so quiet.
clearly obvious that it is not a real blindfolded run. Yes, that is 100% accurate.
Okay, that's not working.
It's not a real blindfolded run. It never was. It never was. Prior to doing this stream, I decided to do this run as a way to joke around and have fun with my community. At the time, there was only about 20 people watching my stream, and I do not have a very large community
Thanks you
myself.
some Dinedge, Asiago, and the
This
Prime Zachary,
run
and
was
Jin.
never meant to be submitted. It was never meant to be legitimate, and a lot of the things in the run that are telltale signs point to that. One of the major things is you can clearly see that a lot of the run is just not at all similar to other blindfolded speedruns. I've watched blindfolded speedruns, and they're very impressive. They're very impressive.
They are. They are very impressive.
And I never once wanted to take away anything from those individuals that do those runs. I have the utmost respect for them. Those runs are very impressive. At this point, I've never
You should double down and be like, those runs fucking suck compared to mine.
I myself am a speedrunner, but I have no legitimate interest in going that route with my speed runs. I'm just content doing what I normally do. I have been doing this a very long time. Not as long as some of the bigger names, but I have been doing this for a number of years.
Is that a meme, Fizz? Maybe.
And again, I wanted to emphasize that
Well, that sounds
this
cool, Cena.
is not real. It was never meant to be real. It was never submitted. It was never submitted. It's never going to be submitted. I never had the intention of taking anyone's spot on the leaderboard.
How does this go on for 11 minutes?
It would never be verified, even if submitting it was part of the plan, but it never was, because it would never get past the verification process. And one of the main reasons is that it's painfully obvious that this isn't real. To the point to where I had a TTS on, the automated service
There's a tier 1 Cody.
that will read, and I want to express this to you guys here on YouTube and let you know what I think of it all, and what my side of it all is. I know the video paints me in a very specific light, and I'm not a bad person. I'm not like a mean-spirited person.
It didn't make any of those claims.
Person.
Spiteful.
And I don't do things maliciously. It's not who I am. This was just good fun. This was just jokes.
I had fun.
My downfall,
I did enjoy it.
Is that I didn't express explicitly in that stream that it was jokes. I tried to keep it straight the entire time. I stumbled within the stream, but I kept it straight for the majority. That's
Mario 60.
legitimate, and a lot of the things are impressive.
They are. They are very impressive.
And the bigger names, but it never was, because it would never get past the verification process. And one of the main reasons is that it's painfully obvious that this isn't real. To the point to where I had a TTS on, the automated service
There's a tier 1 Cody.
that will read, and I want to express this to you guys here on YouTube and let you know, what I think of it all, and what my side of it all is. I know the video paints me in a very specific light, and I'm not a bad person. I'm not like a mean-spirited person.
It didn't make any of those claims.
Person.
Spiteful.
And I don't do things maliciously. It's not who I am. This was just good fun. This was just jokes.
I had fun.
My downfall,
I did enjoy it.
is that I didn't express explicitly in that stream that it was jokes. I try to keep it straight the entire time. I stumbled within the stream, but I kept it straight for the majority. That's okay. And others have understood where I'm coming from, and while some of them might say, "Ah, man, you know, that's still rough," but that
He doesn't even cry.
But again,
why are you gonna make an
being
apology video and not
small-scale
cry?
like I am, I didn't think about it in that broad scope. I don't think anybody who is anybody would ever see anything that I do. I'm not a big name. I wouldn't even consider myself like a medium-sized creator.
Well, that was underwhelming. Oh, here's bullet. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Alright. I think what he should have done, like if I was his PR manager, I think he should have come into this apology really combative. He should have come in here and be like, anyone who thinks I cheated, I challenge you to fucking wrestle me in the Thunderdome. I've rented out the local octagon, and if you think I cheated, you can come fucking fight me. Like, he should have just come in here really aggressive and just denied the fuck out of it. But he didn't. It's pretty boring. Any new Darman? I'm sure there is, but I don't feel like watching Darman right now. You know what I do feel like watching, though? I really do want to watch the Summoning Salt Mario Kart one. I didn't get to finish this one. I forgot that he posted a second one. I didn't finish this. I love the first one, and I started the second and I never finished it, I guess. Mario Kart Wii is like one of the most interesting fucking games that I've never played.
Mario Kart Wii has some ridiculous shortcuts. Grumble Volcano, Coconut Mall. For speedrunners, there's certainly no
God,
secret.
it's so good.
I covered many
and the
of these
science
in a video
behind it
a
is
couple
so
of years
crazy.
ago. Tricks known as ultra shortcuts. However, since then, a revolution has taken place. Since 2019, ultra shortcuts in Mario Kart Wii have been discovered at a rate never before seen. This is the story of the ultra shortcut revolution.
I never played Mario Kart Wii. The Wii is the only console I've never owned. That and the 3DS, actually. But I know Mario Kart Wii had the fucking craziest AI.
So, what is an ultra shortcut? Well, naturally, it's a shortcut that skips a large portion of the track. But as you'll see in a minute, there's actually a bit more to it than that. From 2008 through 2018, courses like Mushroom Gorge, Wario's Gold Mine, and DK Jungle Parkway had shortcuts discovered so players could complete them in under a minute. They were performed in a variety of ways. In Mushroom Gorge, you ride on a wall around the finish line. In Wario's Gold Mine, you bounce off a pipe to the track above. And on DK Jungle Parkway, you fly high in the air and clip through a wall to the end of the track. Over the course of about a decade, massive shortcuts like these were discovered at the rate of about one
I was never interested in motion controls. I just didn't care.
Slowly but surely, more and more of the game's 32 courses had ultra shortcuts discovered. In 2019, a revolution began. For a multitude of reasons, ultra shortcuts were discovered more rapidly than ever before. They all had to do with the game's faulty checkpoint system, and to see how it works, we're going to look at one of the most broken tracks in Mario Kart Wii. This is Sherbert Land.
Sherbert! This one's pretty cool. I remember this from the first video. I'm assuming it's completely different now. They've probably been this fucking level inside out.
This course is a massive
Go wild
loop,
on it.
And obviously the programmers didn't want you to skip any significant portion of it. So they built an intricate checkpoint system into every track to try to prevent that. The green lines, on the other hand, are key checkpoints. These are the ones that really matter, and you can think of them as boxes that extend all the way until the next checkpoint. The red starting line also acts as a key checkpoint. The game wants you to drive through all of these without skipping any in order to give you credit for a lap. The way it does this is with a counter that updates as you drive through each key checkpoint. On Sherbertland, there's 8 key checkpoints and the finish line, which counts as Region 0. So as long as your counter is at Region 8 when you cross the finish line, you'll get credit for the lap. The game also has a failsafe to make sure you don't skip any key checkpoint regions. The only key checkpoint regions that are loaded at any time are the region you're in, the one in front of you, and if you're in the key checkpoint box itself, the region behind you is loaded too. A region has to be loaded for your counter to update to it. So say you're here in Region 1 and you try to skip ahead to Region 3. Well, the only other region loaded is the one in front of you, so skipping any large portion of the track isn't doable. Another failsafe the game has involves the finish line. If you ever go from the box right in front of the finish line
it's
to
big
the box
brain
right
to
behind
figure it out, but
the game will
when it's
subtract
explained
a
to you,
lap
it all
from the
makes
total.
sense.
That way, you can't just go through or around the finish line to the end and complete it for a free lap. So, since you couldn't skip any key checkpoints, the only possible shortcuts seem to be small corner cutters. The game's checkpoint system did its job, but it had one flaw. One major, game-breaking flaw. If you start any shortcut from key checkpoint region 0, right in front of the finish line, the key checkpoint box behind you is still loaded, region 8.
It's elementary,
so
really, when you think
skip
about
a
it.
massive portion of the track, and as long as you started in that first box, your counter can still be updated to region 8, and the lap will count. Shortcuts that abuse this specific glitch are classified as ultra shortcuts. And sure enough, Sherbertland has one that's possible. This is the Sherbertland Ultra Shortcut.
God, the ultra shortcuts are so fucking
It involves doing
satisfying.
a trick known as a wall clip. By backing up, using a mushroom, and doing a wheelie to get at least 5 frames of airtime and adjust your bike's rotational angle,
diabetes
you can
and
run
feels
into the
toad.
side of certain objects to clip high into the air. This has a variety of uses across the game, but back in July 2015, a player named Blaze figured out that you could wall clip off of the finish line pole and land far enough back to respawn a bit behind the finish line. You can see from the checkpoint map what's happening. You start in the box in front of the finish line, then need to land in a specific spot in this checkpoint to respawn. Then, since key
No, I don't know
checkpoint
what
8
that
is
is.
loaded, you need to
84K
turn around
to
and
do
go
no
touch
art.
the box to update the game's counter before driving forward to the finish. A lap could be completed in under 20 seconds. For a few years, people took turns lowering the 3-lap world record, and by late 2017, it was a 1:43 by a runner named
Yeah,
Ryan.
but that's kind of pussy
The
shit. I
biggest
want to see it
issue with
under a
shortcut,
minute.
However, was that it could only be done once per race. By angling your bike to the left more, you could make it back to the track without a respawn.
Next to some Frag
But
Keeper
doing
and
so would
Nightmare.
cause the lap to not count, because of yet another failsafe the game has. The 95%
Self-destruct device.
The game actually keeps track of how much of the course you've completed when you enter each checkpoint. Or at least, the game's best estimation of how much you've completed. Now, the game actually isn't that great at tracking this in most cases. In courses like Grumble Volcano, for instance, where you're clearly skipping more than 95% of the track by going on the rock, the game only registers you as skipping about 83%.
Oh,
so the
well.
trick works.
Like, how do they get
But
that
on
math?
Sherbertland, since you have to cross over this checkpoint to land on the track,
Holy shit.
the game thinks you went from 0% to 97%, meaning the 95% rule was not satisfied and the lap wouldn't count. But in May 2019,
Oh,
a tool-assisted
shit.
speedrunner known as Swear got an idea. The game's
Swear.
percentage of completion updates anytime you enter a checkpoint. So you could drive ahead to the next checkpoint, then re-enter the first checkpoint from further ahead, at about 2% completion. Then, if you manage to wall clip and land on the track while your completion percentage updated to 97%, the 95% rule would be satisfied and the lap would count. So, Swear got to work at creating a tool-assisted speedrun of Sherbetland. A tool-assisted speedrun, or a TAS, is a type of speedrun where the player uses tools like slowdown, save states, and frame-by-frame to create higher levels of gameplay.
The way he breaks it down makes it really simple to follow,
On May
though. What do you mean?
21st, 2019, getting a new world record of 140.
Ooh, yuck.
Just over a month later, Taylor would improve the record to 129 by doing the 2 mushroom no respawn method on lap 1, then using his last mushroom to do the wall clip again and land in the water for a lap skip. This same method would be improved over the following months,
looking
down
good.
to a 116 by Arthur, which is where the record stands today.
Oh, son of a bitch!
As of now,
No sub
nobody
1
has
minute?
hit the 1 mushroom no respawn lap skip in real time, even once. Arthur got pretty close in
Until
October
now,
2020,
I'll do it. Fuck it.
with his front tire hitting against the edge. These
Please
Sherbetland
resub
developments could be
Kiritsugu.
considered the first major events of the Ultra Shortcut revolution. Over the following several weeks in mid-2019, discoveries went dormant for a bit while players worked on improving various world records. But in July, seemingly out of nowhere, possibly the craziest day in Mario Kart Wii history took place.
T-Pain set a
Remember
new
how I
record.
mentioned before that Ultra Shortcuts in the past had been discovered at the rate
He
of
beat
about 1 per year?
Sherbetland in 5 seconds.
Well, during these 24 hours, there wasn't a new Ultra Shortcut discovered. There were 3 of them.
Woo!
Whatever it was, the end result was incredible. On July 11th and 12th, new Ultra Shortcuts were revealed on N64 Bowser's Castle, Shy Guy Beach, and Koopa Cape. Bowser's Castle was first, being revealed on July 11th, and it looked quite similar to the one on Sherbetland. This shortcut was first theorized by a tasser known as CF, and successfully tasked by Luke with help from a handful of others. It began by doing
Man, such a huge
humanly
community.
impossible trick known as rapid fire hop abuse. The game needs your bike to be on the ground for at least 2 frames to update its rotational angle. By alternating pressing and releasing the hop button every frame, or 30 times per second, you can ensure that your bike is only on the ground for 1 frame at a time, so your bike's rotational angle will never update. This can only be done in a tool-assisted speedrun. Then, once you get near this wall, you can release the rapid fire hop abuse, causing the game to quickly update your rotational angle and slam your front wheel into the ground. You'll briefly fly into the air, allowing you to get over the wall next to the finish line.
Jesus
And
Christ.
then doing a wall clip, you'll fly high in the air and down into the lava. This Ultra Shortcut works just like the one on Sherbetland. These checkpoints extend out a bit into the lava, so it's possible to land in them even without making it to the road. So once again, you can land out of bounds, respawn on the course, then go back to hit the last key checkpoint and finish the lap.
Am I seeing
But
Venom 2
ultimately,
this weekend?
Even
Yeah.
though the shortcut was similar in
I'm not
structure to
expecting much,
Sherbetland,
but
the rapid
I'll
fire
check it
hop
out.
abuse made it TAS only. It was impossible to do this humanly.
Until
the
now.
second shortcut, on the other hand, if you could clip off a bomb right in front of the finish line and land somewhere back here, you would then be able to touch the last key checkpoint and get an extremely fast lap. The bombs in Shy Guy Beach operate on a cycle, with bombs landing and exploding at the same times in the same places each time you play. And coincidentally, right when the race begins, a bomb lands in front of the finish line, exactly where you'd want to clip off of it. So naturally, that's
It's
where
like
the players were
Nintendo
aiming.
wanted them to do it.
But every time they tried, the bomb would explode just too soon. Luke was able to get close with the TAS, but it exploded frames too early every single time. So, CF's original TAS was for the second time the bomb landed there. But that meant waiting for over 3 minutes.
Oh, that's
that
worth
ruled out
it.
any hopes of beating the 3-lap world record. But you could still beat the single-lap record. By driving to the end of the first lap, then waiting until 3 minutes on the timer, you could quickly start the second lap, then wall clip off the bomb to the end of the lap, and smash the fastest lap world record. And later the same day, that's what players were doing. Justin became the first player to set a world record with the Ultra Shortcut.
Congrats,
with a
Justin!
22nd lap.
Let's go!
And he chose to spend his 3-minute wait by eating an entire pack of Oreo cookies.
I am eating with no milk, by the way.
A couple weeks later,
that's a lot.
This
That's
method
a lot
would
of
be
calories.
improved in a task by EJ. By starting the clip sooner, you could clip off the back of the bomb to shave a fraction of a second.
No, hold on 1 second. Don't mean to blue ball you. I'll be right back.
So those were the first two shortcuts, both discovered on July 11th. They
pretty
both
easy.
involved wall clips, flying high into the air to skip a lap. But just a short while later,
Laser
the
Prime
third
Mini
ultra
Axe.
shortcut in 24 hours was discovered. And this one was the craziest of all. Welcome to Koopa Cape.
This doesn't look too crazy.
The credit for this one goes to Blaze, being revealed in a task on July 12th. By releasing it, you'll get slammed into the ground again and launched high in the air. The rapid fire hop abuse alone makes this humanly impossible, but in case it didn't, this next part would likely take care of that too. By angling your wheel up while in the air, you can then do a wall clip and land inside the barrier while still technically being on the track. Then you maneuver close to the finish line with extreme precision and fall off the course. When you respawn, you're behind the finish line and can finish the lap.
That's
As this
big.
trick stands right now,
Who found this, Blaze?
it's certainly not humanly viable.
I always knew he was
Getting
destined
across
for
this
greatness.
gap seems to be impossible without rapid fire hop abuse. So until a way around that is
Koopa Cape
figured
shortcut
out,
is now humanly
no human
possible
will
using
ever
another
perform
strat.
this outside of a task. So those were the three ultra shortcuts discovered in.
You said Justin was the first to do it? The Justin, the boy wonder? Man, this... What is this song? This slaps. Wow, Justin. Can you only do it once? This is a cool map. I just kind of want to watch the run now. What a good year, am I right?
2019 may have been an incredible year for Mario Kart Wii, but 2020 really was the year of the Ultra Shortcut. And it all started just 9 days in. Players knew for a while that if they could somehow get inside of it, they might be able to maneuver around in it to get a lap skip. Issue was, it has a massive invisible wall that extends upward in the sky. Any attempts to get up inside of it would be blocked by this wall. But in early January 2020, a player named Jaden pointed out that a section of this wall by the mushroom
so where do they
extended out
where do
past
they
the
get
wall,
this kind of like
and
blueprint?
the bottom here has no hit detection. From there, she then had to get to the end of the lap. You essentially have to go around the rest of the course while in the wall but still touching the road. Doing this is beyond precise. You have an incredibly tight space to work with. There's a point midway through where you have to turn more than 90 degrees to the left, and a player named Charlie figured out that to turn that far, you have to go extremely slowly and do a standstill mini turbo while in the air. Published by EJ, but with contributions from a plethora of players. But here's the crazy part. Technically, nothing here is humanly impossible. There's no rapid fire hop abuse, and that wall clip at the start can be done. Even the movement inside the wall, as insanely precise as it is, technically none of those moves are strictly humanly impossible. So, will it ever be done?
Nah, humans are
Conventional
cringe.
speedrunning logic says that anything theoretically possible will be done eventually, but it's hard to say if that applies here. Most in the Mario Kart Wii community don't see it as a humanly possible trick, even though none of the moves themselves are technically impossible. Right now, it just seems a little bit out of reach. The next shortcut, on the other hand, is absolutely out of reach. This is Dry Ruins.
Nah, I believe we can do it. I want to find something that only humans can do, the machines can't.
Let's start by looking at the checkpoint map. As with most of these shortcuts, the goal
Surely
is
there's
simple.
something we can beat
you go
machines
from the
at.
box in front of the finish line,
Besides, like, the
out
obvious.
around the finish line and out of bounds, then respawn, turn to hit the last key checkpoint.
I said besides
and
the
drive
obvious,
forward
yes,
to
we can beat
finish the lap.
machines at shitting.
The key to doing that is getting around the finish line. But here's the problem. Around the course is a massive invisible wall, highlighted here in blue. You can't get around the finish line checkpoint without getting past this wall, and it just goes up and up. So that was the big challenge. Figure out a way to get past the invisible wall. Blaze took it upon himself to solve it. There wasn't a way to go through the wall, But Blaze had another idea.
Go under it.
He was gonna try to go over it.
Oh, fuck.
Enter the super grind.
Other end of the spectrum. I was pretty close.
A super grind is a form of rapid fire hop abuse. You do the normal hop inputs on every other frame, but add in alternating between neutral and a direction on the control stick. This causes your horizontal speed to build up as well as changing your bike's rotation.
And
so when you eject off the ramp, you get sent high in the air. By then doing a wall clip off of the rock, you go even higher and can eventually make it up over the invisible wall and out of bounds. The rapid fire hop abuse makes this impossible to do humanly, but on January 16th, Blaze managed to get a 27-second lap in a TAS. That made it 2 ultra shortcuts discovered in January 2020. Just 1 month into the year, and 2 more tracks were already broken. The discoveries did slow down for a few months after this, as February and March came and went without any new ultra shortcuts. But in April, the 3rd ultra shortcut of 2020 was revealed. And this one had been in development for a long time.
Oh,
this
10 years
is
maybe?
Bowser Castle 3.
Mama called me and she happy with the girl. Never ever fall for a party, that's a no. I've been in the club and taking shots. If you get your mask off in the photo, you getting crap popping out the phone. Mama called me and mask off in the photo. You've been taking shots if you get your mask. Been taking shots if you get your mask. Been taking shots if you get. Been taking shots if you get your mask off in the photo. You getting crap. Been taking. I've been taking shots if you get your mask off in the photo. I've been taking shots if you get your mask. I've been taking shots if you get your mask. I've been taking. I've been taking shots if you get your mask off in the photo. Taking shots if you get your mask off in the photo. Taking shots if you get your mask. Taking shots if you get your. Taking shots if you get your. If you get your mask. If you. Taking shots if you get your mask off in the. Taking shots if you get your mask. Taking shots if you get your mask. Taking shots if you get your mask. If you. Taking shots if you get your. Taking shots if you get your. Taking shots if you get your mask. Taking shots if you get your mask. In the photo you getting crap popping out the phone. Jumping in the club and taking shots if you get your mask. In the photo you getting crap popping out the phone. Get your mask off in the photo, you getting crap popping out the phone. Get your mask. Shots if you get your mask off in the photo. Shots if you get your mask. If you get your mask off in the photo, you getting crap popping. I've been taking shots if you get your mask off in the photo, you getting crap popping out the phone. Jumping in the club and taking shots if you get your mask off in the photo, you getting. Been taking shots if you get your mask off in the photo, you getting crap popping out the phone. Jumping in the club and taking shots if you get your mask off in the photo, you getting crap. your mask off. In the photo, you getting shots if you get your mask off. In the photo, you getting hopping out the front, jumping in the club and taking shots if you get your